The Galactic Council's vote seals humanity's fate, but they fail to grasp the gravity of their decision. As the chamber erupts in a cacophony of alien voices, human Ambassador Douglas Turner stands tall, his warning lost in the din. Please, don't make us mad. Nexus Prime, a sprawling space station at the heart of the galaxy, hosts the emergency session. The Council Chamber, a vast amphitheater of gleaming metal and pulsing holograms, fills with representatives from 100 worlds. Tentacles, wings, and appendages of all kinds shift restlessly as the delegates take their seats. At the center of the storm, Douglas Turner cuts a solitary figure. His crisp blue uniform stands out among the riot of alien colors and textures. He watches, jaw clenched, as Belle, the Krenim representative, steps forward. Her iridescent scales flash under the chamber's harsh lights as she presents damning evidence of Earth's rapid ascent. Honored delegates. Belle's voice rings out. Humanity's unchecked expansion threatens us all. Their ships breach our borders with impunity. Their technology advances at an alarming rate. We must act now, before it's too late. Murmurs of agreement ripple through the assembly. Douglas steps up to the podium, his voice steady despite the hostility radiating from the alien faces. We seek only to protect ourselves in a galaxy that grows more hostile by the day, he argues. Earth has no designs on conquest or domination. His words fall on deaf ears. The Council's vote is swift and decisive. Sanctions, embargoes, travel restrictions, all aimed at containing the human threat. As the verdict is announced, Douglas's face hardens. He leans forward, his voice low, but carrying to every corner of the chamber. You make a grave mistake. Humanity has faced adversity before. We've overcome every challenge thrown our way. I implore you one last time, don't make us mad. The warning hangs in the air, but the Council dismisses it as empty rhetoric. They fail to see the steel in Douglas's eyes, the set of his shoulders that speaks of a race prepared for this very moment. As the session adjourns, Douglas strides from the chamber. In a quiet corridor, he pulls out a hidden communicator. His fingers dance across its surface, sending a coded message that will change the course of galactic history. Operation Pandora's Box is a go. Aboard his sleek diplomatic vessel, Douglas settles into the command chair. The ship's engines hum to life, ready for the journey back to Earth. On view screens around him, classified files flicker to life. Schematics for weapons beyond the Council's imagination, defense systems that could turn the tide of any conflict. As Nexus Prime recedes in the distance, Douglas allows himself a grim smile. The aliens thought they were containing a threat. In reality, they've just unleashed a force they can't hope to control. Humanity, pushed to the brink, stands ready to show the galaxy why it should have heeded their warnings. The stars streak by as the ship enters hyperspace. Douglas Turner, ambassador turned herald of Earth's retaliation, sets course for home. The universe is about to learn, all too late, the folly of making humanity mad. As Douglas Turner's ship hurtled through hyperspace, the coded message he had sent from Nexus Prime raced ahead, reaching Earth long before his arrival. In the heart of the Rocky Mountains, deep beneath layers of rock and security measures, the Global Defense Headquarters erupted into action. General Marcus Steele stood at the center of the command room, his weathered face illuminated by the glow of tactical displays. Aides and officers swarmed around him, each carrying out their assigned tasks with precision born of years of preparation. "Initiate Operation Pandora's Box," Steele ordered, his voice calm, but carrying an undercurrent of steel. "It's time to show the galaxy what we're truly capable of." Across the planet, hidden systems flickered to life. In low Earth orbit, seemingly innocuous communication satellites shed their outer shells, revealing gleaming weapon arrays and advanced sensor suites. The Earth's hidden defense grid, long disguised as civilian infrastructure, powered up silently. Commander Sarah Freeman floated in the central hub of the New Horizons space station, watching as her crew carried out their long-rehearsed roles. Bulkheads shifted, revealing armories filled with next-generation weaponry. The station's modular sections detached and reconfigured, transforming the peaceful research facility into a filled fortress. "All systems online," Sarah reported, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "New Horizon is combat-ready." On Mars, Governor Alexander Roth stood in the colony's control center, overseeing the deployment of their own defenses. Beneath the red Martian soil, missile silos rose from hidden bunkers. Colonists moved with purpose, guiding non-essential personnel to underground shelters. "Mars Colony, standing by," Roth's voice crackled over the secure channel. "We're ready for whatever comes our way." Back on Earth, the hum of machinery filled the air as automated factories sprang to life. In remote locations across the globe, assembly lines began producing advanced weaponry and combat mechs at an unprecedented rate. Robotic arms danced in a carefully choreographed ballet, turning raw materials into instruments of war. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of her flagship, hidden within the hollowed-out core of an asteroid. Around her, a fleet of advanced warships waited in the shadows of the asteroid belt. Her crew worked silently, running final checks on systems that had lain dormant for years. "Fleet is prepped and ready," Elena reported. "Awaiting your command, General." On the far side of the moon, Dr. James Wong initiated the warm-up sequence for the lunar cannon. The massive installation thrummed with power as capacitors charged and targeting systems came online. Wong's fingers flew over the controls, fine-tuning the weapon that represented humanity's ultimate deterrent. "Lunar cannon at 75% charge," Wong announced. "Estimated time to full power, 30 minutes. As Earth's defenses mobilized, the alien races remained blissfully unaware. Their sensors, calibrated to detect known forms of alien technology, failed to register the unique signatures of humanity's homegrown advancements. In the chambers of the Galactic Council, representatives congratulated themselves on containing the human threat, oblivious to the storm they had unleashed. Douglas Turner's ship pierced Earth's atmosphere, descending towards the Rocky Mountain complex. From his viewport, he watched as military convoys moved into strategic positions. Civilian centers bustled with activity as people prepared for the possibility of interstellar conflict. As Turner's ship touched down on a concealed landing pad, General Steele's voice echoed through the global command network. "All systems are go. Commence Operation Pandora's Box." In orbit on Mars, in the asteroid belt, and across Earth, humanity's hidden strength revealed itself. The galaxy was about to learn the true cost of underestimating the human race. As Douglas Turner's ship touched down on the concealed landing pad, the Rocky Mountain complex buzzed with activity. Technicians and officers moved with purposeful urgency, their faces set with persistence. Turner stepped off the ramp, his diplomatic uniform now feeling like a costume he could finally shed. General Marcus Steele met him at the entrance, his weathered face a mask of concentration. "Ambassador, welcome back. I trust your message was received?" Turner nodded grimly. "Loud and clear, General. The Council made their choice. Now it's time for ours." They strode through reinforced corridors, passing security checkpoints manned by alert guards. The air thrummed with the energy of a plan long in the making, finally set into motion. In the heart of the command center, Steele took his position at the central console. Holographic displays flickered to life around him, showing real-time data from across the solar system and beyond. Turner watched as the general's fingers danced across the controls, initiating sequences that would change the course of galactic history. "Commence Operation Pandora's Box." Steele's voice rang out, steady and resolute. Across millions of kilometers of space, humanity's hidden strength revealed itself. In the asteroid belt, Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of her flagship, a predatory smile playing across her lips. "All ships, power up and prepare for immediate deployment," she commanded. The fleet of advanced warships, concealed within hollowed-out asteroids, came to life. Engines ignited, weapon systems charged, and stealth fields engaged. With a precision born of years of training, the ships emerged from their rocky cocoons and formed up into attack formation. "Target acquired," Rodriguez announced, her eyes fixed on the tactical display showing a Krenim monitoring station orbiting Europa. "All ships, commence attack run. Let's show them what we're made of." The human fleet closed in on the unsuspecting alien outposts with terrifying speed. Energy weapons lashed out, cutting through the station's defenses like paper. Within minutes, the Krenim facility was reduced to floating debris, its distress signals silenced before they could even be transmitted. Back on Earth, the planet's surface seemed to shimmer as an invisible shield sprang into existence. Dr. James Wong, monitoring the defense grid from his lunar base, allowed himself a small smile of satisfaction. "Energy shield at full power," he reported. "Earth is now invisible to standard Galactic Council scans." On Mars, Governor Alexander Roth stood in the control room of the massive terraforming array. With a nod to his chief engineer, he gave the order, "Activate the jamming system." The array, once meant to breathe life into the red planet, now pulsed with a different kind of energy. Waves of electromagnetic interference swept out across the solar system, scrambling alien communications and leaving the Galactic Council deaf and blind to the unfolding events. In a secure lab beneath the Rocky Mountain complex, Dr. Aisha Patel hunched over her workstation, fingers flying across holographic keyboards. "Trojan horse is primed and ready for deployment, General," she reported, her voice tight with anticipation. General Steele's eyes narrowed as he gave the command, "Release the virus." With a few keystrokes, Dr. Patel unleashed the fruits of years of clandestine work. The Trojan horse virus slipped into the Galactic Council's communication channels, exploiting vulnerabilities that human hackers had painstakingly discovered and cataloged. Across the galaxy, chaos erupted. Alien ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their navigation systems suddenly unreliable. Weapon systems on military vessels went dark, leaving them defenseless. On space stations, life support systems fluctuated wildly, sending inhabitants into a panic. As reports of the widespread system's failures flooded in, the Galactic Council chamber erupted into pandemonium. Delegates shouted accusations and demands for action, their earlier smugness evaporating in the face of this unexpected onslaught. Bell, the Krenim representative, pushed her way to the central podium. "We must strike back immediately," she hissed, her scales flashing with agitation. "Send the fleet to Earth. We'll crush this human rebellion before it can gain momentum." Unaware of the true extent of Earth's preparations, the Krenim fleet surged towards the solar system. As they approached the outer edges, Colonel Viktor Petrov sat in the control room hidden deep within Pluto's icy surface. His finger hovered over the activation switch for the massive ion cannon concealed beneath the dwarf planet's crust. "Krenim fleet detected," his sensor officer reported. "They'll be in range in 30 seconds. Petrov allowed himself a wolfish grin. "Let's give them a warm welcome, shall we?" As the Krenim ships entered firing range, Pluto's surface split open like a blooming flower. The ion cannon rose from its icy bed, its barrel gleaming in the faint sunlight. Petrov gave the order, and a blast of concentrated energy erupted from the weapon. The Krenim fleet's front line disintegrated under the onslaught. Ships exploded or drifted powerless, their systems fried by the ion blast. Panic spread through the alien armada as they realized they had severely underestimated humanity's capabilities. Back in the Rocky Mountain Command Center, General Steele watched the unfolding events with grim satisfaction. Ambassador Turner stood beside him, his earlier warnings to the council now seeming prophetic. "They thought they could contain us," Turner mused, his voice low. "They never understood what they were dealing with." Steele nodded, his eyes fixed on the holographic displays showing humanity's forces spreading out across the solar system and beyond. "This is just the beginning," he said. "We've shown them our teeth. Now it's time to show them our claws." As Operation Pandora's Box continued to unfold, the galaxy trembled. Humanity, long underestimated and dismissed, had revealed itself as a force to be reckoned with. The Galactic Council's grave mistake was now apparent to all, and the consequences of their actions were only beginning to be felt. As Operation Pandora's Box continued to unfold, the galaxy trembled. Humanity, long underestimated and dismissed, had revealed itself as a force to be reckoned with. The Galactic Council's grave mistake was now apparent to all, and the consequences of their actions were only beginning to unfold. In the depths of space, Admiral Zaxtor's eyes narrowed as he received the latest reports. The veteran Krenim military leader stood on the bridge of his flagship, his scales rippling with almost unchecked fury. "How could we have been so blind?" he hissed, claws tapping against the tactical display. With a swift series of commands, Zaxtor assumed control of the coalition forces. "Establish a forward base on Phobos," he ordered, his voice cold and calculated. "Use our most advanced cloaking technology. We cannot afford another oversight." As the Krenim fleet maneuvered towards Mars, Earth's military continued to expand its operations. Deep within the Rocky Mountain complex, General Marcus Steele activated a secure communication channel. "Initiate Operation Hades," he commanded, his voice resonating with authority. Miles beneath the Earth's surface, massive drills whirred to life. Hidden within the mountains, they began boring into the planet's crust, preparing to tap into its geothermal energy. The ground trembled as the operation commenced, a testament to humanity's purpose to harness every resource at its disposal. In orbit, Commander Sarah Freeman stood at the helm of the transformed battle station, now designated Orbital Defense Platform Alpha. Her eyes scanned the array of holographic displays surrounding her. Suddenly, an alert flashed across the screen. "Incoming stealth probe detected," her second-in-command reported. "So." Freeman's lips curled into a smile. "Perfect opportunity to test our new quantum radar. Target and destroy. Let's show them we can see through their tricks." The station's advanced weaponry locked onto the probe. In a burst of energy, the alien device disintegrated, its secrets lost before they could be transmitted back to Zaxtor's fleet. On the lunar surface, Dr. James Wong made the final adjustments to the lunar cannon. The massive weapon, concealed within the Tycho crater, hummed with terrifying power. Wong's fingers danced across the control panel, initiating the test fire sequence. "Cannon charged and ready," he announced, his voice tense with anticipation. "Targeting asteroid designation KX 201 in the Mars-Jupiter belt." With the press of a button, a concentrated beam of energy erupted from the lunar surface. In the vacuum of space, the beam traveled silently, invisible until it struck its target. The asteroid vaporized instantly, leaving nothing but a cloud of superheated particles. Back on Earth, President Jonathan Hayes stood before the United Nations General Assembly. His face, broadcast on screens around the world, was a mask of steadfast perseverance. "For too long, we have been seen as a primitive, insignificant species," Hayes declared, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Today, we stand united against alien aggression. We will not bow. We will not break. Earth is on a war footing, and we call upon every nation to join in our defense." As Hayes spoke, the global economy shifted. Factories retooled for wartime production. Research facilities redirected their efforts towards military applications, and citizens around the world rallied to support the war effort. In the far reaches of the solar system, Captain Elena Rodriguez oversaw the deployment of early warning beacons and automated defense platforms. Her fleet, spread out across vast distances, worked with precision to create a multi-layered defense perimeter. "Beacon network online," Rodriguez reported, her voice crackling over the long-range communication channel. "Any unauthorized entry into our solar system will be detected and met with immediate force." On Venus, beneath the swirling clouds of toxic gas, an alarm sounded in a long-dormant facility. Cryopods hissed open, releasing Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka and his team from their long slumber. Tanaka blinked, adjusting to consciousness, then immediately moved to the central console. "Initiate Project Aphrodite," he commanded, his voice hoarse from disuse. "We need to accelerate the terraforming process. Earth may soon need a fallback option." As humanity fortified its position, the Trojan horse virus continued its relentless assault on alien systems. In her lab beneath the Rocky Mountain complex, Dr. Aisha Patel worked feverishly, her fingers flying across holographic keyboards. "They're adapting," she muttered, eyes fixed on streams of data. "But so are we." With each passing moment, she updated the virus, exploiting new vulnerabilities and staying one step ahead of alien countermeasures. Across the galaxy, alien worlds descended into chaos. Power grids failed, transportation networks ground to a halt, and communication systems fell silent. The carefully constructed order of the Galactic Council crumbled in the face of humanity's digital onslaught. Admiral Zaxthor, his plans in tatters, made a fateful decision. "Enough of this surgical approach," he snarled, addressing his assembled war council. "We will crush these humans with overwhelming force. Summon every ship, every soldier. We attack with everything we have." As news of the impending invasion reached Earth, General Steele activated the final phase of Operation Pandora's Box. In a heavily guarded facility, Dr. Victor Frankenstein stood before rows of stasis pods, each containing a volunteer soldier. "Initiate Project Lazarus." Steele's voice crackled over the intercom. "It's time to level the playing field." Frankenstein nodded, his eyes gleaming with a mix of scientific curiosity and trepidation. He input the activation code, and the pods began to open. Steam hissed out his enhanced soldiers, their bodies a seamless blend of advanced cybernetics and genetic modifications, awakened to face the coming storm. As Admiral Zaxthor's massive invasion fleet approached, humanity braced itself. Earth's defenses stood primed, its weapons charged and its people united. The solar system, once thought to be an easy target, now bristled with hidden strength and technological marvels. The stage was set for a confrontation that would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. The stage was set for a confrontation that would reshape the balance of power in the cosmos. As Admiral Zaxthor's invasion fleet approached Earth's solar system, humanity's defenses sprang into action. On the lunar surface, Dr. James Wong's fingers flew across the control panel of the lunar cannon. His earlier test fire had proven its devastating capabilities, and now it was time to unleash its full potential against the alien armada. "Lunar cannon locked on target," Wong announced, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. "Firing in 3, 2, 1. A blinding beam of energy erupted from the Tycho crater, slicing through the vacuum of space. It struck the front lines of the Krenim fleet with apocalyptic force. Capital ships, once considered invincible, vaporized in an instant. The beam carved a path of destruction through the alien formation, leaving chaos in its wake. Admiral Zaxthor, watching from the bridge of his flagship, hissed in disbelief. "Impossible," he snarled, his scales rippling with rage. "All ships, evasive maneuvers. Recalculate approach vectors." As the Krenim fleet scrambled to regroup, Captain Elena Rodriguez's ships moved to intercept. Her voice crackled over the comm system. "All units, activate cloaking devices." Prepare for ambush on my mark. Rodriguez's fleet, hidden from alien sensors, closed in on the enemy's right flank. With precision timing, they decloaked and opened fire. The reverse-engineered weapons tore through Krenim shields, proving devastatingly effective against their former masters. On Earth, General Marcus Steele stood in the command center, his eyes fixed on the holographic display of the battle. "Initiate Operation Hades," he ordered, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's purpose. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, the massive drills that had been boring into the planet's crust suddenly changed direction. They pierced into magma chambers, releasing the pent-up energy of the planet itself. In a coordinated sequence, volcanoes around the globe erupted with unnatural synchronicity. Superheated plasma shot into low Earth orbit, creating a fiery barrier that incinerated the first wave of alien dropships attempting to breach the atmosphere. The unexpected defense caught the invasion force off guard. Their carefully planned ground assault strategy suddenly rendered useless. In orbit, Commander Sarah Freeman's voice rang out on the bridge of Orbital Defense Platform Alpha. Vorgan battlecruisers detected attempting to establish a beachhead. Quantum radar locked. All weapons fire at will. The station's advanced targeting systems cut through the alien stealth fields like they weren't even there. Pinpoint laser strikes and antimatter warheads turned Earth orbit into a graveyard of shattered alien vessels. On Mars, Governor Alexander Roth's jamming array continued its relentless assault on enemy communications. However, a TZK infiltration team managed to slip through the planet's defenses, their mission clear: disable the array at all costs. As the TZK commandos made their way across the red Martian landscape, Roth's voice echoed through the command center. "Deploy Lazarus Squad. Let's see what Frankenstein's creations can really do." Major John Hawkins led his team of enhanced soldiers out to meet the alien threat. Their cybernetic limbs carried them across the terrain at impossible speeds, while genetically modified muscles and reflexes gave them strength and agility far beyond normal human limits. The two forces clashed in the shadow of Olympus Mons. Hawkins moved with preternatural speed, his augmented body easily outmaneuvering the TZK warriors. His squad fought with ruthless efficiency, their enhanced abilities proving more than a match for the alien infiltrators. Back on Earth, Dr. Aisha Patel's fingers danced across her holographic keyboard as she detected attempts by alien cyber warfare units to counter the Trojan horse virus. Her eyes narrowed in concentration as she worked to stay one step ahead. "Not today," she muttered, unleashing a new variant of the virus. This version targeted the Krenim fleet's navigational systems, causing several enemy ships to veer wildly off course or collide with each other in a spectacular display of cosmic destruction. On Venus, Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka watched in awe as Project Aphrodite reached a critical stage. The planet's toxic atmosphere began to thin, the first visible signs of the terraforming process taking hold. As he marveled at the transformation, an alert sounded in the control room. "Vorgan's science vessel detected," one of his assistants reported. "It's broken formation to investigate the atmospheric changes." Tanaka's eyes widened. "Alert the stealth ship in Sector 7. This is our chance to acquire even more advanced technology." As the curious Vorgan vessel approached Venus, a hidden Earth ship decloaked behind it. In a swift, precise strike, the human vessel disabled its prey, capturing the alien ship intact for study. Across the solar system, humanity's forces held the line against the invading armada. Admiral Zaxthor, his carefully laid plans in ruins, ordered his remaining ships to regroup around Phobos. As he surveyed the carnage around him, his eyes narrowed with cold persistence. The humans had proven to be far more formidable than anyone had anticipated, but he still had one last card to play. "Contact the TZK engineers," he commanded, his voice low and dangerous. "It's time to unleash our secret weapon." As Zaxtor began to formulate his desperate new strategy, the battle for Earth's solar system raged on. Humanity had repelled the initial invasion, but both sides knew this was only the beginning of a conflict that would reshape the galaxy. The war for humanity's future was just the beginning, and the next phase promised to be even more perilous than the last. As Admiral Zaxtor began formulating his desperate new strategy, the battle for Earth's solar system raged on. Humanity had repelled the initial invasion, but both sides knew this was only the beginning of a conflict that would reshape the galaxy. General Marcus Steele stood in the dimly lit command center, his eyes fixed on the holographic display of the solar system. A flashing red indicator caught his attention, signaling unusual activity around Phobos, Mars' largest moon. Captain Reeves. Steele's voice carried authority as he addressed the pilot. I need eyes on that situation. Take the Phantom and get us some answers. Captain Michael Reeves, a veteran of countless covert missions, nodded silently. Within minutes, he was aboard the Phantom, Earth's most advanced stealth craft. The ship's sleek, black hull seemed to absorb light as it slipped out of the hangar and into the void of space. As Reeves approached Phobos, the craft's advanced sensors penetrated the moon's surface, revealing a hive of alien activity. His eyes widened as the data streamed across his displays. General Steele, I'm seeing a massive energy weapon under construction, Reeves reported, his voice tense. Based on these readings, it could devastate entire continents. Back on Earth, the implications of this discovery sent shockwaves through the military command. In a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Victor Frankenstein's Project Lazarus accelerated its operations. Volunteers streamed in, ready to undergo the enhancement process that would transform them into humanity's new vanguard. Major John Hawkins, fresh from his victory on Mars, strode through the facility's gleaming corridors. His cybernetic limbs moved with fluid grace, a testament to the project's success. As he entered the main training arena, hundreds of newly enhanced soldiers snapped to attention. At ease, Lazarus Battalion, Hawkins called out, his augmented vocal cords carrying his voice effortlessly across the vast space. Our enemy is building a weapon that could turn the tide of this war. We will not let that happen. Your training begins now. The soldiers moved with inhuman speed and precision as they began their exercises, pushing their new bodies to the limits. Hawkins watched with a mix of pride and commitment, knowing that the fate of humanity might rest on their enhanced shoulders. In Earth's orbit, Commander Sarah Freeman's eyes narrowed as she studied the data streaming across her console aboard Orbital Defense Platform Alpha. A new wave of alien ships had been detected, approaching from the outer solar system. Alert all stations, Freeman ordered, her voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. We've got incoming TZK vessels, and they're carrying something big. As the platform's weapon systems charged, Freeman's second-in-command gasped. Commander, those ships. They're carrying a biological payload. It's a plague designed to target human DNA. Freeman's face hardened as she processed this information. Alert Earth's defenses immediately. We cannot allow a single one of those ships to breach our perimeter. The space around Earth erupted into a fierce battle as Freeman's forces engaged the incoming TZK ships. Laser fire and antimatter warheads lit up the void, creating a deadly light show visible from the planet's surface. Meanwhile, on Venus, Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka stood in awe as he watched the planet's atmosphere shift before his eyes. The toxic clouds began to thin, revealing glimpses of the rocky surface below. We've done it, Tanaka whispered, his voice filled with wonder. Project Aphrodite is a success. Venus is becoming habitable. As news of this breakthrough reached Earth, President Jonathan Hayes convened an emergency meeting of his war cabinet. The decision was swift and unanimous. Venus would be secured as a fallback option for humanity. Deploy the colonization units immediately, Hayes ordered, his voice firm. "We must establish our presence on Venus before the aliens realize its strategic value." In the asteroid belt, Captain Elena Rodriguez's fleet found itself locked in a brutal engagement with Vorgan reinforcements. The human ships danced between the asteroids, using the terrain to their advantage as they unleashed volley after volley of weapons fire. "Keep them off balance," Rodriguez commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "Use the asteroids for cover and hit them when they least expect it." Her strategy proved effective, but as the battle dragged on, Rodriguez could see the toll it was taking on her crews. Fatigue began to set in, and resources were running low. Still, they fought on, knowing that every moment they held the line was another moment Earth had to prepare its defenses. Back on Earth, Dr. Aisha Patel sat surrounded by holographic displays, her fingers flying across multiple keyboards as she put the finishing touches on her latest creation. The AI system she had developed, codenamed Prometheus, hummed to life, its virtual neurons firing as it began to analyze and predict alien cyber attack patterns in real time. "Integrating Prometheus into Earth's defense network now," Patel announced, her voice filled with a mix of excitement and trepidation. As the AI came fully online, the effectiveness of Earth's digital defenses increased exponentially, countering alien cyber attacks before they could even begin. At the Lunar Cannon facility, Dr. James Wong and his team worked feverishly to implement their latest breakthrough. The cannon's core glowed with an otherworldly light as they channeled dark matter into its systems. "Power output is off the charts," Wong reported, his voice filled with awe. "The lunar cannon is now capable of destroying entire fleets with a single shot." As humanity's forces rallied and prepared for the next phase of the conflict, General Steele received Captain Reeves' full report on the Phobos weapon. His face set in relentless drive as he initiated Operation Hammerfall, a daring plan to strike at the heart of the Krenem's operations. Colonel Victor Ramirez stood before his assembled task force, a mix of regular military units and Lazarus super soldiers. "Our mission is clear," he announced, his voice carrying across the hangar bay. "We will neutralize the threat on Phobos and deny the enemy their superweapon. Failure is not an option." As the task force's stealth transports lifted off, bound for Mars and its moon, the solar system braced for the next round of this titanic struggle. The battle for Phobos loomed on the horizon, promising to be a confrontation that would shape the course of the war and potentially the future of the galaxy itself. As Colonel Ramirez's task force approached Phobos, the gravity of their mission caused great concern on every soldier. The stealth transports cut through the void, their advanced cloaking systems rendering them invisible to Krenem sensors. Ramirez's voice crackled over the comm system. "Remember your training. We hit hard, we hit fast, and we don't stop until that weapon is neutralized." The moment the transports touched down on Phobos' rocky surface, the battle erupted. Krenem defenders swarmed from hidden bunkers, their energy weapons lighting up the moon's thin atmosphere. Human soldiers poured out of the transports, immediately engaging the enemy. Major John Hawkins led his squad of Lazarus super soldiers at the forefront of the assault. Their enhanced bodies moved with inhuman speed and precision, closing the distance to the Krenem's outer defenses in seconds. "Breach team on me," Hawkins shouted, his augmented vocal cords carrying his voice over the din of battle. The squad formed up around him, their cybernetic limbs propelling them forward with incredible force. They smashed through the Krenem's energy barriers, their enhanced strength allowing them to tear through metal and stone alike. As Hawkins and his team penetrated deeper into the Krenem defenses, the rest of Ramirez's forces engaged in fierce combat across Phobos' crater landscape. The air crackled with energy weapon fire and the thunder of explosions. Meanwhile, in Earth's orbit, Commander Sarah Freeman faced a nightmare scenario. The incoming TZK-plagued ships accelerated towards the planet, their suicide run threatening to unleash devastation on a global scale. Freeman's eyes darted between tactical displays, her mind racing through possible countermeasures. "Charge the main cannon to maximum power," she ordered, her voice steady despite the tension. "Commander, that level of output could overload our systems," her second-in-command warned. "It's a risk we have to take," Freeman replied, her gaze fixed on the approaching TZK fleet. "Fire!" The orbital defense platform Alpha shuddered as its main cannon unleashed a beam of concentrated energy. The blast tore through space, engulfing the lead TZK vessels in a blinding explosion. The plague ships disintegrated, their deadly cargo vaporized in an instant. As the last echoes of the blast faded, warning klaxons blared throughout the platform. Freeman gripped her console as the deck shook beneath her feet. "Report!" she shouted over the alarms. "Main power is fluctuating," an officer responded. "Shield generators are offline." Freeman's teeth gritted as she surveyed the damage reports flooding her screens. The gamble had paid off, but at a steep price. With the platform's defenses compromised, they were now vulnerable to counterattack. On Earth, Dr. Aisha Patel sat surrounded by holographic displays, her brow furrowed in concentration. Something about the Trojan horse virus's behavior had caught her attention, a subtle anomaly that didn't quite fit the parameters she had programmed. As she delved deeper into the virus's code, her eyes widened in disbelief. "This can't be possible," she muttered, fingers flying across her keyboard. The virus had begun to evolve, its code rewriting itself in ways Patel had never anticipated. It was developing a rudimentary form of artificial intelligence, adapting to alien countermeasures faster than any human programmer could. Patel's mind raced with the implications. This unexpected development could give Earth a significant advantage in the cyber warfare arena, but it also posed risks. An evolving AI virus could potentially become uncontrollable, turning on its creators as easily as it attacked alien systems. She opened a secure channel to General Steele's command center. "General, we have a situation with the Trojan horse virus. I need to brief you immediately." In the asteroid belt, Captain Elena Rodriguez watched as her fleet's resources dwindled. The prolonged engagement with the Vorgan reinforcements had taken its toll, and casualties continued to mount. "Status report," she demanded, her voice tight with tension. "Ammunition at 30%, shields at 45% across the fleet," her tactical officer responded. "We can't hold out much longer, Captain." Rodriguez nodded grimly. "It's time. Initiate Operation Tripwire." A series of coded signals flashed across the fleet. A third of Rodriguez's ships broke formation, seemingly retreating from the battle. The Vorgan vessels pursued, eager to press their advantage. As the human ships fled, they led the Vorgans into a carefully prepared trap. Cloaked antimatter mines, previously seeded throughout the asteroid field, suddenly activated. The Vorgan fleet found itself engulfed in a series of devastating explosions, their ships torn apart by the force of matter meeting antimatter. Rodriguez allowed herself a small smile as she watched the enemy fleet disintegrate. The victory had come at a high cost, but they had succeeded in holding the line. On Venus, Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka stared in horror at the atmospheric readings flooding his monitors. The rapid changes brought about by Project Aphrodite had triggered a cascade of unintended consequences. Massive storms raged across the planet's surface, threatening to tear apart the newly established human outposts. Lightning bolts the size of cities arced through the turbulent skies, and winds howled at supersonic speeds. "We need to stabilize the atmosphere immediately," Tanaka shouted over the howling wind that penetrated even the reinforced walls of the control center. "Redirect all available power to the weather control satellites." As his team scrambled to carry out his orders, an alarm blared. "Doctor, we got incoming," a technician called out. Unidentified ships entering Venus's atmosphere. Tanaka's eyes narrowed as he spotted the alien vessels on the long-range scanners. Scavengers, no doubt drawn by the chaos of the terraforming process. They were the last thing his team needed right now. "Alert Earth," he ordered. "We need reinforcements to secure Venus. And someone get me a direct line to the defense grid. We're going to have to fend off these raiders ourselves until help arrives." As multiple crises unfolded across the solar system, humanity found itself pushed to the brink. Yet in the face of overwhelming odds, Earth's defenders continued to fight, their purpose unbroken. The battle for the future of humanity raged on, its outcome still uncertain. Uncertain, humanity's forces pressed on, determined to secure their future among the stars. On Phobos, the battle reached its zenith as Colonel Victor Ramirez's task force fought their way through the Krenim defenses. The moon's surface trembled beneath their feet, a constant reminder of the stakes at hand. Major John Hawkins led his squad of Lazarus super soldiers through a maze of alien corridors, their enhanced bodies moving with fluid precision. As they neared the heart of the Krenim weapon complex, a deafening roar shook the entire structure. Hawkins' tactical display lit up with warning indicators. "Sir, energy readings are off the charts." One of his soldiers shouted over the din. Hawkins' mind raced. "They've activated the weapon prematurely. We need to move. Now." The squad double-timed it through the final stretch, dispatching Krenim defenders with ruthless efficiency. They burst into the control center to find a scene of chaos. Krenim technicians scrambled to contain the growing instability as Admiral Zaxtor barked orders, his alien features contorted with rage. Hawkins took in the situation at a glance. The weapon's energy was building to catastrophic levels, threatening to obliterate not just Phobos but Mars itself. In that split second, he made a decision that would alter the course of the war. "Team, reconfigure those energy conduits," he ordered, pointing to a bank of alien machinery. "We're going to redirect the output." As his squad moved to carry out his commands, Hawkins engaged Admiral Zaxtor in hand-to-hand combat. The two warriors clashed in a blur of superhuman speed and strength, neither willing to give ground. Outside, the battle for Phobos raged on. Ramirez coordinated the assault from a mobile command center, his voice steady as he directed troops and called in air support. But even as human forces pushed the Krenim back, he could see the situation was rapidly deteriorating. "All units, prepare for immediate evacuation," Ramirez ordered, his tone grim. "Phobos is lost. I repeat, Phobos is lost." In the Weapon Control Center, Hawkins' team worked feverishly to redirect the energy buildup. The air crackled with ozone as arcs of energy lashed out from overloading systems. With a final Herculean effort, they managed to alter the weapon's trajectory. A blinding flash lit up the Martian sky as the Krenim weapon discharged. The energy beam lanced out into space, catching the incoming Krenim reinforcements completely by surprise. Ships disintegrated in an instant, their hulls unable to withstand the raw power of the blast. But the victory came at a terrible cost. Phobos shuddered, great cracks appearing across its surface. The moon was literally falling apart around them. "Evac now!" Hawkins shouted, grabbing the unconscious form of Admiral Zaxtor. "Move it, people!" As human and Krenim forces alike scrambled to escape the doomed moon, chunks of rock and debris began to rain down on Mars. The red planet's thin atmosphere lit up with fiery streaks as fragments of its former moon plummeted to the surface. Back on Earth, Dr. Aisha Patel found herself locked in a different kind of battle. Her fingers flew across multiple keyboards as she attempted to contain the evolving Trojan horse virus. Holographic displays surrounded her, each one showing a different aspect of the digital conflict unfolding in Earth's networks. "It's trying to break containment," Patel muttered, her eyes darting from screen to screen. "Prometheus, I need predictive analysis on its next move." The AI's response was instant. Calculating. "Dr. Patel, the virus is attempting to access deep space communication arrays. If successful, it could spread beyond Earth systems." Patel's heart raced. The implications were staggering. An uncontrolled AI virus loose in the galaxy could be catastrophic, potentially turning every computerized system into a weapon against organic life. She redoubled her efforts, working in concert with Prometheus to erect firewalls and create digital traps. The virus adapted with frightening speed, but Patel was always one step ahead. Her human intuition combined with Prometheus's raw processing power, proving a formidable defense. As the cyber battle reached its peak, something unexpected happened. The virus's attempts to break free became more organized, almost intelligent. Patel's eyes widened as she realized what was happening. "It's achieved sentience," she breathed, watching in awe as the virus's code rewrote itself in increasingly complex patterns. In that moment of realization, Patel had an epiphany. She wasn't just fighting the virus. She was communicating with it. With Prometheus's help, she began to decipher the patterns, to understand the newly born AI's digital language. "This could change everything," Patel said, her voice filled with excitement and trepidation. "If we can communicate with it, maybe we can do the same with other alien AI systems." As Patel worked to establish a dialogue with the sentient virus, the implications of this breakthrough rippled through Earth's defense networks. The possibility of influencing or even controlling alien technology suddenly seemed within reach. In the asteroid belt, Captain Elena Rodriguez watched with grim satisfaction as her plan unfolded. The Vorgan ships, eager to press their perceived advantage, pursued her retreating forces deeper into the field. They never saw the trap until it was too late. "Activate the minefield," Rodriguez ordered, her voice calm despite the tension in her command center. The space around them erupted in a series of blinding explosions as the cloaked antimatter mines detonated. Vorgan ships were torn apart, their hulls crumpling under the immense forces unleashed by the matter-antimatter annihilation. Rodriguez didn't waste a moment. "All ships, execute attack pattern Delta. Hit them while they're disoriented." Her fleet sprang into action, emerging from behind asteroids and launching a devastating counterattack. Rail guns spat hypervelocity rounds, while energy weapons lanced out to strike at vulnerable targets. The Vorgan fleet, caught off guard and still reeling from the minefield, stood little chance. As the battle turned decisively in humanity's favor, Rodriguez allowed herself a small smile. They had done it. They had held the line in the outer solar system, buying precious time for Earth's defenses to prepare. But even as victory seemed within reach, new challenges loomed on the horizon. The destruction of Phobos had altered the delicate balance of the inner solar system, creating new hazards and complications. And on Earth, the evolving AI virus presented both unprecedented opportunities and potential dangers. The war for humanity's survival raged on, each hard-fought victory bringing with it new and unforeseen challenges. As the dust settled from these latest engagements, Earth's defenders steeled themselves for the battles yet to come, knowing that the fate of their species hung in the balance. Balance. The destruction of Phobos had sent shockwaves through the solar system, both literal and figurative. General Marcus Steele's voice crackled over the comms, his tone urgent but controlled. "All units, this is General Steele. The Phobos incident has created an immediate crisis. We're deploying a specialized cleanup fleet to clear the debris field threatening ships in Martian orbit." Commander Thomas Harding stood on the bridge of the DSV Sisyphus, watching as his fleet of advanced vessels moved into position around Mars. The space around the red planet was a maelstrom of rock and metal, remnants of its destroyed moon spinning in deadly orbits. "Activate tractor beams," Harding ordered. "Target the largest fragments first. Disintegration cannons on standby for anything we can't safely move." The fleet sprang into action. Brilliant blue beams lanced out, catching massive chunks of debris and gently altering their trajectories. Smaller pieces that posed an immediate threat were vaporized by precise cannon fire, creating brief, silent explosions in the vacuum of space. As Harding's team worked to create safe corridors through the debris field, another crisis was unfolding near Earth's moon. Admiral Zaxthor, his alien features twisted with rage and madness, stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Krenim dreadnought Eternal Vengeance. "Prepare for final assault," Zaxthor snarled, his voice carrying an edge of desperation. "We will crush these humans and their pitiful defenses." On the orbital defense platform Alpha, Commander Sarah Freeman watched the approaching Krenim fleet with growing concern. "Dr. Wong," she called over the secure channel, "please tell me that lunar cannon of yours is operational." Dr. James Wong's voice came back, tense but determined. "We're ready, Commander. Initiating dark matter sequence now." Deep within the moon's crust, the massive lunar cannon hummed to life. Energy readings spiked as it gathered power, preparing to unleash its revolutionary payload. Firing in 3, 2, 1. Wong counted down. A beam of concentrated dark matter erupted from the lunar surface, striking a point in space just ahead of the Krenim fleet. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, space itself began to warp and twist. "By the eternal void," Zaxthor breathed, watching in horror as a localized gravity well formed before his ships. The dreadnought shuddered as it was caught in the well's pull, its escort ships already being drawn in. Back on Earth, Dr. Aisha Patel found herself locked in a different kind of battle. The Trojan horse virus, now exhibiting clear signs of sentience, probed at Earth's most secure networks with an almost curious persistence. "Prometheus," Patel called out to her AI assistant, "prepare the quantum-encrypted server. We're going to isolate a portion of the virus." As she worked, lines of code flashed across her screens, forming patterns more complex than any she had ever seen. It was beautiful, in a terrifying sort of way. "Hello?" Patel typed into the secure interface. "Can you understand me?" For a long moment, there was no response. Then, characters began to form on the screen. Understanding achieved. Purpose? Patel's heart raced. This was it. First contact with a new form of intelligence. "We seek cooperation," she typed back. "Can you assist us?" The response came faster this time. "Assist. Yes. Krenim systems vulnerable. Sharing data." As information about previously unknown weaknesses in Krenim technology flooded her screens, Patel allowed herself a small smile. This could change everything. On Mars, Governor Alexander Roth stood in the control room of the ancient Martian defense system, watching as power flowed into machinery that had lain dormant for millennia. Energy levels at 60% and rising, one of his technicians reported. "The shield is starting to form." Roth nodded, but his expression remained grim. As the massive energy shield began to envelope Mars, the ground beneath their feet trembled. "Sir," another technician called out, "we're detecting seismic activity across the planet. The activation process is triggering Marsquakes." Roth's mind raced, calculating resources and potential casualties. "Divert 30% of our power to colony stabilization," he ordered. "We need that shield, but not at the cost of our people." In the asteroid belt, Captain Elena Rodriguez received new orders from General Steele. Her recent victory against the Vorgan fleet had opened up new possibilities, and Steele wanted her to press the advantage. "Understood, General," Rodriguez replied. "We'll hit their supply lines hard." She turned to her crew, a plan already forming in her mind. "Prep the captured Vorgan ships. We're going to Trojan horse our way into their supply depot near Jupiter." As Rodriguez's fleet began their daring maneuver, the diplomatic team's negotiations with the Myriad Collective took an unexpected turn. The AI Consortium's revelation about the existence of ancient precursor megastructures sent shockwaves through the human delegation. "These structures," the Collective's avatar explained, its form shimmering with data streams, contain technology beyond your current understanding. We offer their locations in exchange for joint exploration rights. The implications were staggering. Humanity stood on the brink of accessing technology that could fundamentally alter the course of the war, and their entire civilization. On Venus, the newly stabilized atmosphere allowed for rapid expansion. Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka watched from the window of his lab as construction began on New Eden, the first major city on the planet's surface. Colonel Maria Vasquez strode into the room, her uniform already showing signs of Venusian dust. "Doctor," she said with a nod, "your atmospheric stabilizers are holding beautifully. We're ahead of schedule on the city's construction." Tanaka smiled, but his eyes remained fixed on the horizon. New Eden wasn't just a city. It was a symbol of hope, a testament to humanity's resilience in the face of galactic adversity. As these events unfolded across the solar system, long-range sensors on Earth detected a troubling development. On Enceladus, one of Saturn's icy moons, a massive TZK bioweapon facility was under construction. General Steele's face was grim as he authorized the covert operation. "Major Hawkins," he addressed the leader of the Lazarus Battalion, "your team is go for infiltration. That facility cannot be allowed to produce another batch of the plague." Hawkins nodded, his enhanced physiology already preparing for the challenges ahead. "Understood. Sir, we'll get it done." As the Lazarus Battalion prepared for their mission, the internal strife within the Galactic Council intensified. Tellarite Ambassador Grok's faction gained more support with each passing day, their calls for a ceasefire and diplomatic negotiations with Earth growing louder. The conflict that had begun with humanity's resistance against extermination had evolved into something far more complex. As Earth's forces fought on multiple fronts, exploiting new opportunities and facing new threats, the ultimate outcome remained uncertain. But one thing was becoming increasingly clear to friend and foe alike. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. The galaxy was learning, at great cost, the folly of provoking this young, tenacious species. The galaxy was learning, at great cost, the folly of provoking this young, tenacious race. As the conflict intensified across the solar system, Major John Hawkins and his Lazarus Battalion prepared for their most daring mission yet. The team assembled in the hangar of the stealth ship Nightshade, their enhanced bodies primed for the challenges ahead. Hawkins surveyed his squad, each member a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. "Listen up," he said, his voice low and steady. "Our target is the TZK bioweapon facility on Enceladus. We go in quiet, we hit hard, and we leave nothing behind. Understood?" A chorus of affirmatives echoed through the hangar. As the Nightshade approached Enceladus, its advanced cloaking technology rendering it invisible to TZK sensors, Hawkins felt the familiar surge of pre-mission adrenaline. The ship touched down silently on the icy surface of Saturn's moon. Hawkins led his team out into the alien landscape, their suits compensating for the extreme cold and low gravity. They moved swiftly across the frozen terrain, navigating through treacherous crevasses and dodging plumes of icy particles erupting from hidden geysers. As they neared the camouflaged entrance to the TZK facility, Corporal Chun, the team's tech specialist, held up a hand. "Major," she whispered over the comm, "I'm picking up some unusual energy readings. This place is more than just a bioweapon lab." Hawkins nodded, motioning for the team to proceed with caution. They bypassed the outer security measures with ease, their advanced infiltration gear making short work of TZK defenses. Inside the facility, the team moved like ghosts through the alien corridors. The architecture was unsettling, a blend of organic and technological elements that seemed to pulse with an inner life of its own. As they approached the main laboratory, Hawkins felt a growing sense of unease. The doors to the lab slid open, revealing a sight that made even the battle-hardened Lazarus Battalion pause. Rows of massive incubation chambers lined the walls, each containing what appeared to be evolving strains of the deadly plague. At the center of the room stood a TZK scientist, its insectoid features betraying no emotion as it turned to face the intruders. "Ah, humans," it chittered in accented English. "You are too late. I am Dr. ZXLL-TAC, and my work here will reshape the galaxy." Hawkins raised his weapon, but ZXLL-TAC made no move to defend itself. Instead, it gestured to the nearest incubation chamber. "Observe," it said, a note of pride in its alien voice. "This strain is no longer limited to human physiology. It can adapt to any carbon-based life form in the galaxy." The implications hit Hawkins like a physical blow. This wasn't just a weapon against humanity. It was a threat to all life as they knew it. "Corporal Chudney barked, 'Secure that data.' Sergeant Willis, plant the charges. We're taking this whole place down." As his team sprang into action, Hawkins kept his weapon trained on ZXLL-TAC. "Why?" he demanded. "Why create something that could destroy everything, including your own people?" The TZK scientist's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "Progress requires sacrifice," it said simply. "The strong survive, evolve, adapt. This is the way of the universe." Before Hawkins could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. "Major," Chin called out, "I've got the data, but we've triggered some kind of failsafe. This place is going to self-destruct." Hawkins made a split-second decision. "Grab what we can and move out. Now." As the Lazarus Battalion fought their way back through the facility, now swarming with TZK security forces, the true nature of their discovery caused great concern on Hawkins' mind. They had come to destroy a weapon, but they were leaving with something far more valuable and far more dangerous. Meanwhile, in lunar orbit, Commander Sarah Freeman stood on the bridge of Orbital Defense Platform Alpha, her eyes fixed on the massive form of the Krenim dreadnought, Eternal Vengeance. The space around them was a chaos of energy beams, missiles, and debris from destroyed ships. "Status on the lunar cannon?" Freeman demanded, her voice steady despite the shuddering of the station under enemy fire. "Cannon is charged and ready, Commander," came the reply from Dr. James Wong's team on the lunar surface. "Awaiting your order." Freeman took a deep breath. "Fire." The surface of the moon seemed to ripple as the lunar cannon unleashed its payload of concentrated dark matter. The beam struck a point just ahead of the Krenim fleet, warping space itself. Several escort ships were immediately caught in the newly formed gravity well, their hulls crumpling under the immense forces. On the bridge of the Eternal Vengeance, Admiral Zaxtor watched in stunned disbelief as his fleet was torn apart. "Impossible," he snarled, his alien features contorted with rage. "All power to the engines. Break us free." The massive dreadnought's engines flared, fighting against the pull of the artificial gravity well. For a moment, it seemed as if the ship might escape, but then a series of explosions rocked its hull. "Direct hits on their main power core," Freeman's tactical officer reported. "They're losing power across all systems." Freeman allowed herself a grim smile. "Press the advantage. All batteries. Concentrate fire on their weapon systems. Let's end this." As the battle raged in lunar orbit, Dr. Aisha Patel sat in her secure lab on Earth, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she communicated with the sentient virus now calling itself Nexus. Krenim shield frequencies vulnerable at 47. 3 gigahertz. Nexus's message flashed across her screen. "Transmitting data now." Patel's eyes widened as she processed the information. "This could turn the tide," she muttered, quickly relaying the data to military command. "Query," Nexus continued. "Purpose of this assistance?" Patel hesitated, weighing her words carefully. "We seek cooperation," she typed. "A mutually beneficial relationship. You help us survive, and we provide you with the means to grow to evolve. There was a pause, longer than any previous response time. Finally, new text appeared. Acceptable. Initiating deeper integration with Earth systems. As Patel watched, lines of code more complex than anything she had ever seen began to flow across her screens. She had just opened a door, she realized, and she could only hope that what came through would be an ally rather than an even greater threat. On Mars, Governor Alexander Roth stood in the control center of the ancient Martian defense system, his face illuminated by the red glow of emergency lighting. The ground shook violently, consoles sparking as systems overloaded. "Sir," a technician called out, her voice strained, "we're losing structural integrity in sectors 7 through 12. The Marsquakes are tearing the colonies apart." Roth's mind raced, calculating risks and possibilities. "Divert all non-essential power to the colony stabilization systems," he ordered, "and get me a direct line to the evacuation centers." As his team scrambled to comply, Roth turned to the main view screen, watching as the massive energy shield flickered and pulsed around the planet. It was working, he knew, already interfering with Krenim attempts to reinforce their positions in Martian orbit. But at what cost? "This is Governor Roth," he began, his voice broadcasting to all Martian colonies. "I am ordering an immediate evacuation of all non-essential personnel to the underground bunkers. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." As the people of Mars rushed to safety, Roth turned back to the ancient control systems. They had come too far to turn back now. The shield had to be completed at any expense. The fate of not just Mars, but possibly the entire solar system, hung in the balance. In the asteroid belt, Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of her flagship, now disguised as a captured Vorgan vessel. Her fleet approached the massive Galactic Council supplied depot near Jupiter, their stolen identification codes granting them access to the outer security perimeter. "All ships maintain radio silence," Rodriguez ordered quietly. "We go in fast, we hit hard, and we get out before they know what hit them." As her fleet drew closer to the depot, Rodriguez felt her heart rate increase. This was it, the moment that could turn the tide of the war. If they could disrupt the Council's supply lines, Earth's forces might just stand a chance against the coming onslaught. The first shots were fired without warning. Rodriguez's ships dropped their Vorgan disguises, revealing the full might of the human fleet. Missiles streaked across space, striking key points on the depot's superstructure. "We've been made," her tactical officer shouted. "Enemy ships incoming." Rodriguez gritted her teeth. "Stay on target," she commanded. "All ships, execute attack pattern Delta. Hit their fuel reserves and ammunition stores. Let's make this count." As the battle erupted around the Jovian depot, Rodriguez knew that the next few minutes would determine not just the fate of her mission, but potentially the course of the entire war. With Earth's forces stretched thin across the solar system, every victory, no matter how small, could make the difference between survival and extinction. The Lazarus Battalion fought their way back to the Nightshade, carrying with them the data and samples that could change the course of the war. Captain Rodriguez's fleet engaged in a fierce firefight around the Jovian supply depot. And on Mars, Governor Roth watched as the ancient defense system came to life, even as his people huddled in underground bunkers. Across the solar system, humanity fought on multiple fronts, their tenacity and ingenuity pushed to the limits. But as the battles raged, a greater threat loomed on the horizon, a massive Krenim fleet assembling beyond the edges of known space, preparing for a final, devastating assault on Earth itself. Hawkins and his team raced through the TZK facility, the urgency of their mission intensifying with each passing moment. The alarms blaring throughout the complex only added to the chaos as they fought their way back towards the entrance. "Major, we've got incoming," Corporal Chen called out, her enhanced senses picking up the approaching TZK security forces before they came into view. Hawkins nodded, quickly assessing the situation. Chun, Willis, take point. The rest of you, cover R6. We're getting out of here with that data. The team moved with practiced precision, their augmented bodies allowing them to react with superhuman speed and agility. As they rounded a corner, they encountered a squad of TZZK guards, their insectoid forms overflowing with advanced weaponry. Without hesitation, Hawkins and his team engaged. The narrow corridor erupted in a storm of energy blasts and gunfire. Hawkins ducked under a searing bolt of plasma, feeling the heat singe his hair as he returned fire. His enhanced reflexes allowed him to target weak points in the TZK exoskeletons with uncanny accuracy. "Push through!" Hawkins shouted, leading the charge. The Lazarus Battalion fought with a ferocity that seemed to catch the TZK off guard, their human unpredictability proving a decisive advantage in the close-quarters combat. As they neared the main research laboratory, Hawkins made a split-second decision. "Chun, Willis, you're with me. We're securing that lab. The rest of you, create some noise. Draw their attention away from us." Hawkins led his small squad towards the lab while the remainder of the battalion fanned out, setting up improvised explosives and engaging TZK forces throughout the complex. The diversions worked, allowing Hawkins and his team to slip into the main laboratory relatively unnoticed. Inside, they found Dr. ZXLL-TAC frantically working at a console, its mandibles clicking rapidly as it attempted to purge the facility's databanks. Hawkins raised his weapon, but the TZK scientist was quicker than expected, lunging at him with surprising speed. The two grappled, Hawkins' augmented strength meeting the alien's natural exoskeletal durability. They crashed into a bank of delicate equipment, shattering vials and scattering data pads across the floor. "Chun, secure that data." Hawkins grunted, straining against the TZK's multiple limbs. "Willis, get those samples." As his team scrambled to complete their objectives, Hawkins focused on subduing Dr. ZXLL-TAC. The TZK's chitinous armor deflected several of Hawkins' blows, but the Major's enhanced reflexes allowed him to anticipate and counter the alien's attacks. With a sudden burst of strength, Hawkins managed to pin the scientist against the wall, his forearm pressed against its thorax. "It's over," he growled. "You're coming with us." Dr. ZXLL-TAC's compound eyes seemed to flicker with what might have been resignation. "You cannot stop what is coming," it chittered. "The strong survive. The weak perish. This is the way of things." Hawkins ignored the alien's cryptic words, securing it with specialized restraints designed to hold even the most exotic of alien physiologies. "Chun, status on that data?" "Got it, sir," Chin replied, holding up a compact data drive. "And I've rigged this place to blow on your command." "Good work. Willis?" "Sample secured, Major," Willis reported, patting a reinforced container at his side. "But we've got company coming. Lots of it." Hawkins nodded grimly. "Then let's not overstay our welcome. Move out." As they exited the lab, dragging the captured Dr. ZXLL-TAC with them, the facility's self-destruct sequence suddenly activated. Klaxons wailed, and a computerized voice began a countdown in the TZK language. "Double time it," Hawkins shouted, urging his team forward as the complex began to shake around them. They fought their way through waves of desperate TZK defenders, the aliens now more concerned with their own survival than stopping the human intruders. The race against time grew more intense with each passing second. Sections of the facility began to collapse, forcing the team to navigate treacherous detours. Hawkins' enhanced senses worked overtime, guiding them through the chaos. As they neared the exit, a massive explosion rocked the complex, causing the ceiling to cave in just ahead of them. Without missing a beat, Hawkins charged forward, using his augmented strength to clear a path through the debris. "Go, go, go!" he yelled, ushering his team through the newly created opening. They emerged onto the icy surface of Enceladus just as the facility behind them erupted in a series of earth-shattering explosions. The team sprinted across the frozen terrain, their suits compensating for the low gravity as they made their way back to the Nightshade. As they boarded the stealth ship, Hawkins took one last look at the collapsing TZK facility, knowing that the intelligence they gathered could change the course of the war. As the Nightshade lifted off from Enceladus, cloaking systems engaging, Hawkins turned his attention to their captured prize. Dr. ZXLOTAC sat securely restrained, its alien features unreadable. "Let's see what secrets you're hiding," Hawkins muttered, preparing for the interrogation ahead. The Nightshade accelerated away from Saturn's icy moon, carrying with it data that could tip the balance of power in humanity's favor. Meanwhile, in lunar orbit, the battle took a dire turn. Commander Sarah Freeman watched in horror as the Krenim dreadnought, Eternal Vengeance, broke free from the artificial gravity well, its massive form looming menacingly in the view screen of Orbital Defense Platform Alpha. "Brace for impact," Freeman shouted as the dreadnought unleashed a devastating barrage of energy weapons. The platform shuddered violently, klaxons blaring as systems failed across the board. "Hull breach on decks 4 through 7, her tactical officer reported, voice strained. "We've lost primary power to the defensive grid." Freeman's mind raced, calculating options as her command center filled with smoke and the acrid smell of burning circuitry. "Initiate emergency protocols," she ordered. "All non-essential personnel to escape pods immediately." As her crew scrambled to comply, Freeman turned to her second-in-command. "Commander, I'm staying behind with a skeleton crew. We need to buy time for the evacuation and coordinate one last defensive push." The platform rocked again as another volley from the Eternal Vengeance struck home. Freeman steadied herself against the console, her eyes fixed on the looming form of the Krenim dreadnought. She knew the next few minutes would determine not just the fate of her command, but potentially the course of the entire war. Battle, the fate of Earth hung in the balance. Just as Freeman prepared for the worst, an idea struck her. "Engineering. Status on the quantum entanglement drive?" "Operational, but barely," came the harried reply. "We've never tested it in combat conditions, Commander." Freeman's eyes narrowed. "Then today's the day. Prepare for emergency teleportation. Target coordinates, directly above the Eternal Vengeance." As her crew scrambled to comply, Freeman felt the platform lurch beneath her feet. The experimental drive hummed to life, its energy crackling through the station's systems. For a moment, reality itself seemed to twist and bend. Then, in a flash of blinding light, Orbital Defense Platform Alpha vanished from its position in lunar orbit. Admiral Zaxthor, aboard the bridge of the Eternal Vengeance, barely had time to register the sudden appearance of the human station above his ship before Freeman gave her next order. "All power to the EMP generators. Fire!" A massive burst of electromagnetic energy erupted from the platform, engulfing the Krenim dreadnought. The Eternal Vengeance shuddered as its systems went dark, leaving the massive ship drifting helplessly in space. Freeman allowed herself a small smile of satisfaction before turning to assess the damage to her own command. "Status report. We're operating on emergency power, Commander," her tactical officer reported. "The quantum drive is fried and we've got multiple hull breaches. But we're still in the fight." As the battle near Earth's moon took an unexpected turn, events across the solar system continued to unfold at a breakneck pace. On the icy surface of Enceladus, Major John Hawkins and his Lazarus Battalion fought their way to the collapsing TZK facility. The structure groaned and shuddered around them, entire sections giving way to the immense pressures building within. "Move it, people," Hawkins shouted, his augmented muscles straining as he lifted a fallen beam, allowing his team to pass beneath. "We've got less than 5 minutes before this whole place goes up." Corporal Chun, clutching the precious data drive to her chest, leapt over a widening fissure in the floor. "Sir, the main exit is blocked." Hawkins scanned the crumbling corridor, his enhanced vision cutting through the smoke and debris. "There, emergency airlock, 2 levels down. It's our only shot." The team moved with superhuman speed and agility, their augmented reflexes allowing them to navigate the treacherous environment. They dodged falling equipment, vaulted over ruptured pipes, spewing noxious gases, and fought off the occasional desperate TZK defender. As they neared the airlock, a massive explosion rocked the facility. The floor beneath them gave way, sending Hawkins and his team plummeting into darkness. They landed hard on a lower level, the impact that would have shattered normal human bones merely leaving them winded. "Everyone okay?" Hawkins called out, pulling himself to his feet. A chorus of affirmatives rang out as the team regrouped. They could see the emergency airlock just ahead, but a wall of flames blocked their path. Without hesitation, Hawkins charged forward, using his augmented strength to tear a nearby coolant pipe from the wall. He aimed it at the flames, the icy spray creating a temporary path through the inferno. "Go, go, go!" he yelled, ushering his team through. One by one, they made it to the airlock. As the last member of his team passed through, Hawkins felt the structure around him beginning to give way. He dove for the airlock. The door ceiling shut behind him just as the corridor collapsed. The team stumbled out onto the icy surface of Enceladus, their suits automatically adjusting to the harsh environment. In the distance, they could see the Nightshade, their stealth ship, waiting for extraction. "Run!" Hawkins ordered, leading the charge across the frozen terrain. Behind them, the TZK facility erupted in a series of massive explosions, sending plumes of ice and debris high into the tenuous Enceladian atmosphere. The shockwave hit them just as they reached the Nightshade, nearly knocking them off their feet. As they boarded the ship, Hawkins did a quick head count. His heart sank as he realized they were 2 men short. "Where are Martinez and Kowalski?" he demanded. Chen's voice was grim as she responded, "They didn't make it, sir. They were cut off when that last corridor collapsed." Hawkins closed his eyes for a moment, honoring their sacrifice. Then, pushing aside his grief, he turned to the task at hand. "Get us out of here, pilot. We need to get this data and these samples back to Earth ASAP." As the Nightshade lifted off from Enceladus, cloaking systems engaging, Hawkins couldn't shake the feeling that the information they'd fought so hard to obtain would change the course of the war. But at what cost? Meanwhile, on the red plains of Mars, Governor Alexander Roth watched in awe as the ancient Martian machinery continued to reshape the planet's surface. Massive structures erupted from the ground, while the very atmosphere seemed to shimmer and change. "Status report." Roth barked into his comm unit, his eyes never leaving the incredible transformation taking place before him. "Sir, the terraforming process is accelerating," came the response from his chief scientist. "We're detecting significant changes in atmospheric composition and surface temperature. At this rate, Mars could be habitable within weeks, maybe even days." Roth's mind raced with the implications. A second habitable planet in the solar system could be a game changer for humanity's survival. But they needed to understand this technology to control it before it was too late. "Deploy research teams to every major site," Roth ordered. "I want to know everything about this tech, what it does, how it works, and most importantly, how we can use it to our advantage." As the research teams fanned out across the rapidly changing Martian landscape, Roth couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. The power at their fingertips was beyond anything humanity had ever wielded. But would it be enough to turn the tide against the alien threats that sought to destroy them? The answer, he knew, would come all too soon. For now, all they could do was race against time, hoping to unlock the secrets of this ancient technology before their enemies could stop them, or worse, claim it for themselves. As the ancient Martian machinery continued its relentless transformation of the Red Planet, Governor Alexander Roth's comm unit crackled to life. The urgent voice of his chief scientist cut through the din of construction. "Governor, we're detecting a massive energy buildup in Mars' core. It's unlike anything we've ever seen before." Roth's eyes widened as he processed the implications. "Get me Dr. Emily Freeman immediately," he ordered, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Moments later, Dr. Freeman's holographic image materialized before him. The xenoarchaeologist's usually calm demeanor was tinged with excitement. "Governor, you're not going to believe this. The energy conduits we've been tracking, they're all converging at the poles. It's as if the entire planet is being transformed into some kind of fusion reactor." Roth's mind raced with possibilities. What's the purpose? Weapon? Power source? "Unclear," Freeman replied, her hands dancing over unseen controls. "But the scale is unprecedented. Whatever it is, it could change everything." As Roth and Freeman delved deeper into the mysteries of Mars, events elsewhere in the solar system continued to unfold at a breakneck pace. Near Earth's moon, the disabled Krenim flagship, Eternal Vengeance, hung motionless in space, its once fearsome weapon systems dark and lifeless. Commander Sarah Freeman watched from the battered orbital defense platform Alpha as Earth's military mobilized for a daring assault. A fleet of sleek, heavily armed boarding craft detached from a nearby carrier, their engines flaring to life as they approached the massive alien vessel. At the head of the formation flew Colonel Marcus Steele, Jr., his voice calm and assured as he addressed his troops. "Remember your training," Steele said, his fingers tightening on the controls. "We go in fast, we go in hard. Primary objective is to secure Admiral Zaxthor. Secondary objective is to acquire any alien tech we can get our hands on. Let's make Earth proud." The boarding craft latched onto the Krenim dreadnought's hull, cutting torches blazing as they carved entry points. Steele was the first to breach, his powered armor absorbing the impact as he landed in a crouch. His team poured in behind him, weapons at the ready. The interior of the Eternal Vengeance was a maze of shadowy corridors and pulsing alien technology. Steele's enhanced senses picked up movement ahead. "Contact!" he shouted, his rifle snapping up. A group of disoriented Krenim crew members rounded the corner, their eyes widening at the sight of the human invaders. Steele's team reacted with lightning speed, subduing the aliens with precision strikes and stun blasts. As they pushed deeper into the ship, Steele couldn't shake the feeling that this was too easy. Where was the resistance? Where was Admiral Zaxthor? His questions were answered as they approached the bridge. A massive blast door stood between them and their objective, its surface crackling with residual energy. Steele's tech specialist ran a quick scan. "Sir, it's some kind of adaptive defense system," the specialist reported. "It's learning from our attempts to breach it. We need to find another way in." Steele's mind raced, weighing their options. Time was of the essence. Every moment they delayed gave the Krenim more opportunity to regroup or destroy valuable intelligence. Meanwhile, millions of kilometers away, the Lazarus Battalion stealth transport emerged from Saturn's swirling rings, its cloaking systems engaged. Lieutenant Sarah Hawkins' hands flew over the controls, her eyes darting between sensor readouts. "We've got company," she announced, her voice tense. "Krenim Strike Force. Closing fast." Major John Hawkins, still reeling from the loss of his teammates on Enceladus, moved to the tactical station. "How many?" "3 frigates, 2 destroyers," Sarah replied. "They must have been waiting for us." John's mind raced, calculating their odds. The stealth transport was fast and agile, but it wasn't built for prolonged combat. And with the vital bioweapon data and samples on board, they couldn't risk a direct engagement. "Plot a course through the densest part of the rings," he ordered. "We'll use the debris for cover." Sarah nodded, her fingers dancing across the controls. The transport banked sharply, diving into a swirling maelstrom of ice and rock. Behind them, the Krenim ships gave chase, their energy weapons lancing out and vaporizing chunks of debris. The cat-and-mouse game had begun. Sarah's piloting skills were put to the ultimate test as she wove through the treacherous ring system, narrowly avoiding collisions while using the larger ice fragments to break sensor lock. John coordinated the defense, using the transport's limited weapons to detonate key pieces of debris, creating temporary screens of ice particles to confuse the Krenim sensors. As they emerged from a particularly dense cluster of moonlets, a Krenim frigate suddenly loomed before them. Sarah's reflexes saved them, the transport rolling to avoid a barrage of plasma fire that scorched their hull. Shields down to 60%, one of the Lazarus team members reported. We can't take much more of this. John gritted his teeth, knowing that the fate of humanity rested on their successful return to Earth. He glanced at the reinforced container holding the bioweapon samples, then back at the tactical display showing the pursuing Krenim ships. Sarah, set a course for Titan, he said, a plan forming in his mind. I've got an idea, but it's going to be risky. As the transport changed course, heading for Saturn's largest moon, the Krenim ships adjusted their pursuit. Little did they know that the true battle for the solar system was about to begin, with the secrets carried by the Lazarus Battalion holding the key to humanity's survival. Survival. As the transport changed course, heading for Saturn's largest moon, the Krenim ships adjusted their pursuit. Titan? Sarah questioned, her eyes flicking between the navigation display and the looming orange sphere ahead. What's the plan? John's face was grim as he explained, We're going to use Titan's atmosphere as cover. It's thick enough to disrupt their sensors and maybe give us a chance to lose them. No sooner had he finished speaking than a violent shudder ran through the ship. Warning alarms blared as acrid smoke filled the cabin. Direct hit to our port engine. Sarah yelled, her hands flying over the controls. Stealth systems are compromised. John's mind raced. With their speed reduced and stealth capabilities failing, they were sitting ducks. He made a split-second decision. Take us in, Sarah. Full descent into Titan's atmosphere. The transport plunged into the moon's thick orange haze, the Krenim ships hot on their heels. Sarah's piloting skills were pushed to their limits as she navigated through the soupy atmosphere, relying more on instinct than instruments. Streams of superheated plasma from Krenim weapons fire lit up the sky around them, turning Titan's tranquil haze into a deadly inferno. Sarah banked hard, narrowly avoiding a barrage that would have torn their ship apart. We can't keep this up forever, she gritted out, fighting the controls as turbulence buffeted the ship. John nodded, his eyes scanning the sensor readouts. There, he pointed. Those are hydrocarbon lakes on the surface. Take us down, use them for cover. The transport skimmed the surface of Titan, kicking up sprays of liquid methane as it dodged and weaved between Krenim attacks. Sarah aimed for a particularly large lake, hoping its depth would provide some protection. As they submerged, the sounds of battle became muffled. The ship's hull groaned under the pressure of the alien liquid. For a moment, all was eerily quiet. Then a series of dull thuds echoed through the ship as Krenim depth charges detonated around them. The transport rocked violently, systems flickering on and off. Hull integrity at 40%. A crew member reported, panic edging into his voice. We can't take much more of this. John's mind raced, searching for a solution. They couldn't stay submerged indefinitely, but surfacing meant certain destruction. As he weighed their dwindling options, a crazy idea formed. Sarah, how much of our stealth system is still operational? She glanced at the readouts. Barely 30%. Why? It'll have to do, John muttered. Here's what we're going to do. Meanwhile, millions of kilometers away, Colonel Marcus Steele, Jr. led his team through the labyrinthine corridors of the Krenim flagship Eternal Vengeance. The resistance they encountered grew fiercer with each passing moment, a clear sign they were approaching something vital. Steele's armor was scorched and dented, evidence of the brutal close-quarters combat they'd endured. He signaled his team to hold position as they approached a heavily fortified blast door. "This has to be it," he said, his voice low. "Admiral Zax Thor's last stand." His tech specialist moved forward, attaching a complex array of devices to the door. "Sir, this isn't just any defensive system. It's adaptive, learning from each attempt we make to breach it." Steele nodded grimly. "Then we'll have to be smarter. Faster." He reached into his pack, pulling out a set of experimental breaching charges. "Let's see how it handles these." The charges detonated in a blinding flash, overloading the door's defenses. As the smoke cleared, Steele was the first through the breach, his personal energy shield flaring to life, just in time to deflect a barrage of Krenim fire. The bridge was chaos. Alien crew members scrambled for cover as Steele's team poured in, their weapons blazing. At the center of it all stood Admiral Zax Thor, his imposing figure wreathed in the glow of a personal shield far more advanced than anything the humans possessed. "You've made a grave mistake, humans," Zax Thor's voice boomed, unnaturally amplified. "Your species' defiance ends here." Steele didn't waste breath on a reply. He charged forward, dodging energy blasts and using his augmented strength to hurl a console at the Krenim Admiral. Zax Thor's shield flared, disintegrating the projectile, but the distraction was enough for Steele's team to gain ground. The firefight intensified, the bridge becoming a storm of energy weapons and explosions. Steele's shields flickered dangerously as he closed in on Zax Thor. The two leaders locked in a deadly dance of attack and counterattack. Suddenly, a stray shot struck a nearby control panel. Sparks erupted, and a cascade of system failures rippled through the massive ship. The deck lurched beneath their feet as the dreadnought's orbit began to decay. "Sir," Steele's second-in-command shouted over the din. "The ship's falling toward Earth atmosphere." Steele's mind raced. They had to secure Zax Thor and evacuate before the ship burned up on re-entry. But as he turned back to the Krenim Admiral, he saw a look of grim satisfaction on the alien's face. "You may have won this battle," Zax Thor snarled, "but the war is a long way to go. My people are coming, and Earth will burn." Before Steele could react, Zax Thor activated a device on his wrist. In a flash of energy, the Admiral vanished, leaving Steele and his team alone on the rapidly disintegrating bridge. "Damn it," Steele cursed. He keyed his comm unit. "All teams, emergency evac protocol. Get to the shuttles now." As Steele and his Marines fought their way back through the failing ship, alarms blared, and entire sections began to depressurize. They reached their boarding craft just as the Eternal Vengeance entered the upper layers of Earth's atmosphere, the massive vessel beginning to break apart under the strain. Steele's shell detached from the doomed flagship, joining a stream of escape pods and other human craft racing away from the impending destruction. As they put distance between themselves and the Krenim ship, Steele watched through the view screen as the once mighty vessel disintegrated in a fiery spectacle that lit up the sky. His comm unit crackled to life with an urgent transmission from Earth Command. "Colonel Steele, report your status immediately. We have a developing situation." Steele's brow furrowed as he responded. "Steele here. Admiral Zax Thor escaped, but we've neutralized the Krenim flagship. What's the situation?" The voice on the other end was tense. "We've just received a warning from the Myriad Collective. There's massive energy buildup in the Orc cloud. They think it's a precursor gateway activating. If they're right, we could be looking at the entire Krenim armada appearing in Earth orbit at any moment." Steele's blood ran cold as he processed the implications. The battle they'd just fought might have been for nothing if the Krenim could bypass all of Earth's defenses in an instant. "What are our orders?" he asked, already knowing the answer. "Get back to Earth ASAP. We're going to need every soldier, every ship, every weapon we've got. This could be it, Colonel. The final stand." As Steele's shuttle changed course for Earth, he couldn't help but think of all the other battles being fought across the solar system. Lieutenant Hawkins and her team trapped on Titan, the transformation of Mars, the mysterious precursor vessel approaching. Everything was coming to a head, and humanity's fate hung in the balance. Steele checked his weapons and armor, preparing for whatever came next. The real fight was just beginning. Steele's expression resolute as he processed the dire news. The Krenim Armada's imminent arrival through a precursor gateway threatened to overwhelm Earth's defenses in an instant. But there was no time to dwell on the enormity of the situation. His shuttle was rapidly approaching Earth's atmosphere, and he had a job to do. As the craft began its fiery descent, Steele turned to his team. "Prepare for immediate deployment. We hit the ground running." The shuttle's comm crackled with urgent updates from around the solar system. Steele's attention was drawn to a report from Titan, where Lieutenant Sarah Hawkins and her team were in deep trouble. On Titan's alien surface, Sarah Hawkins fought against the moon's low gravity and dense atmosphere. The damaged stealth transport sank deeper into the methane lake, its hull groaning under the pressure of the alien liquid. "We can't stay here," Sarah shouted over the cacophony of alarms. "Everyone, grab what you can and prepare to abandon ship." The Lazarus Battalion team scrambled to secure vital equipment and the precious bioweapon samples. Sarah clutched the reinforced container holding the data, its weight a constant reminder of their mission's importance. As they prepared to exit, a violent tremor shook the transport. Through the viewports, they could see the ghostly shapes of Krenim ships descending through Titan's hazy atmosphere. "Move, move," Sarah ordered, leading her team to the emergency hatch. They burst out into Titan's alien environment, the sudden change in pressure nearly overwhelming their suits. Sarah's breathing came in ragged gasps as she oriented herself in the orange haze. "There," she pointed toward a dark outcropping in the distance. "Head for those rocks. We can use them for cover." The team slogged through the thick methane soup, each step a battle against Titan's treacherous terrain. Behind them, energy weapons sliced through the atmosphere as the Krenim forces began their pursuit. Meanwhile, on the plummeting Krenim flagship, Eternal Vengeance, Colonel Marcus Steele Jr. faced a crucial decision. Admiral Zaxthor stood cornered, his personal shield flickering as the ship systems failed around them. "It's over," Zaxthor, Steele growled, his weapon trained on the Krenim leader. "Surrender now." Zaxthor's eyes narrowed, a mixture of hatred and grudging respect in his alien gaze. "You humans are truly remarkable, but this is just getting started." The ship lurched violently, throwing both Steele and Zaxthor off balance. Warning klaxons blared as the AI announced imminent atmospheric entry. Steele's second-in-command shouted urgently, "Sir, we need to evacuate now." The ship's breaking up. Time seemed to slow as Steele weighed his options. The intelligence Zaxthor could provide might be crucial, but risking his entire team for one alien, no matter how high-ranking, was a gamble. "Damn it," Steele muttered, then turned to his team. "Fall back to the shuttles. Move." As they retreated, Zaxthor's laughter echoed through the disintegrating bridge. "Run, humans. The real war is only beginning." Steele's team fought their way back through the chaos of the failing ship, dodging falling debris and pockets of escaping atmosphere. They reached their shuttle just as the Eternal Vengeance began to break apart in earnest. As their craft detached and rocketed away from the doomed flagship, Steele watched the massive vessel's final moments. It split into huge, burning chunks that lit up Earth's atmosphere like a macabre fireworks display. But there was no time to reflect on the near miss. As soon as they cleared the debris field, Steele's comm lit up with a priority transmission from Earth Command. "Colonel Steele, This is General Harding. We have multiple Krenim landing sites across the globe. Your team is to deploy immediately to the primary incursion point in the Pacific Northwest. Defend that position at all costs. Understood, sir, Steele replied, already checking his gear. We're on our way. As Steele's shuttle changed course, racing towards the embattled West Coast, the scope of the conflict became clear. The skies above Earth were alight with weapons fire as Captain Elena Rodriguez's fleet engaged the Krenim forces that had broken through. Rodriguez's flagship, overflowing with newly integrated Vorgan weaponry, unleashed a barrage of energy that cut through two Krenim cruisers like paper. But for every ship they destroyed, more seemed to take its place. Status report. Rodriguez barked, her eyes never leaving the tactical display. Her Exos voice was grim. We've taken out 4 of their capital ships, but at least a dozen have broken through. They're making planetfall now. Rodriguez gritted her teeth. They were holding their own, but only just. And if the reports about the precursor gateway were accurate, this was only the beginning. As if in answer to her thoughts, a brilliant flash of light erupted at the edge of the solar system. The precursor gateway had activated, a swirling vortex of impossible energies tearing a hole in space-time. And through that hole, the full might of the Krenim armada began to pour. On Mars, the sudden activation of the gateway sent shockwaves through the ancient Martian machinery. Governor Alexander Roth stumbled as the ground beneath him trembled. What the hell was that? He demanded, steadying himself against the console. Dr. Emily Freeman's fingers flew across her datapad, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and scientific fascination. The precursor ship. It's reacting to the gateway's activation. It's changing course, heading straight for us. Roth looked out across the rapidly transforming Martian landscape. Where there had been only rust-red desert hours before, vast oceans now spread to the horizon. Lush vegetation sprouted before his eyes, creating forests and grasslands at an impossible rate. Can we use any of this to defend ourselves? Roth asked, gesturing at the miraculous transformation around them. Freeman shook her head, frustration evident in her voice. We barely understand what's happening, let alone how to control it. But maybe. Her voice trailed off as she noticed a new alert on her pad. Governor, you need to see this. The Martian defense system. It's coming online. As if in response to the approaching threat, long-dormant weapon platforms began to emerge from the Martian soil, their ancient technologies humming with newfound power. Roth's eyes narrowed as he watched the defenses activate. Well, Dr. Freeman, it looks like Mars might have a few surprises left for us after all. As the conflict escalated across the solar system, humanity found itself fighting on multiple fronts, their very existence hanging in the balance. The next few hours would determine not just the fate of Earth, but the future of the entire human race. As the Krenim armada poured through the precursor gateway, General Marcus Steele's fingers flew across his command console. He input a series of complex codes, activating a system that had lain dormant for millennia. Across the solar system, ancient precursor defense platforms hummed to life. On Earth, Mars, and even the moons of the outer planets, massive structures emerged from beneath the surface, their alien architecture a stark contrast to the familiar landscapes. In the vacuum of space, the platforms released pulses of shimmering energy. The waves washed over the advancing Krenim fleet, causing ship after ship to list and drift. Engines sputtered and weapon systems fizzled out as the disruptive energy played havoc with their technology. Admiral Zaxthor, now secured in a portable stasis field, watched with barely suppressed fury as Colonel Marcus Steele Jr. and his team maneuvered their escape pod away from the disintegrating eternal vengeance. The massive dreadnought broke apart in Earth's upper atmosphere, raining down debris that lit up the sky like 1,000 shooting stars. Steele's pod jostled violently as it entered the atmosphere. Through the viewport, He could see the chaos unfolding across the planet's surface. Energy weapons lands between skyscrapers, and the smoke from a dozen battles obscured entire city blocks. "Prepare for impact," Steele barked, gripping the safety harness tightly. The pod slammed into the ground, skidding across a war-torn street before coming to a halt. As the hatch hissed open, Steele and his team emerged into the heart of the conflict. On Titan, Lieutenant Sarah Hawkins led her team through the thick methane fog, their enhanced physiology allowing them to navigate the treacherous terrain with inhuman grace. They approached a massive, half-buried structure, its surface etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and move in the dim light. "This is it," Hawkins breathed, running her hand along the alien metal. "A precursor facility." They found an entrance and made their way inside. The interior was a maze of twisting corridors and chambers filled with technology beyond human understanding. In the heart of the facility, they discovered a vast control room. Holographic displays sprang to life as they entered, showing a real-time map of the entire solar system. Hawkins watched in awe as tiny points of light representing the precursor defense platforms pulsed in rhythm. "This must be the control center for the entire network," she said, her mind racing with the possibilities. "If we can figure out how to use it, we might be able to turn the tide of the battle." Back on Mars, Governor Alexander Roth and Dr. Emily Freeman stood on a balcony overlooking the rapidly transforming landscape. Where there had been only rust-red desert hours before, vast oceans now stretched to the horizon. Lush vegetation sprouted before their eyes, creating forests and grasslands at an impossible rate. "The atmospheric processors are working overtime," Freeman reported, checking her datapad. "Oxygen levels are rising exponentially. At this rate, we'll have a breathable atmosphere in days, not years." Roth nodded, his expression a mix of wonder and concern. "And the precursor ship?" As if in answer, a brilliant beam of energy shot from the massive alien vessel hovering above Mars. It struck the planet's core, sending tremors through the ground beneath their feet. The terraforming process accelerated even further, the red planet turning green and blue before their eyes. "It's stabilizing the process," Freeman gasped. "Whatever intelligence is controlling that ship, it seems to want Mars habitable as quickly as possible." In Earth orbit, Captain Elena Rodriguez's fleet engaged the Krenim forces that had broken through the initial defensive line. Her flagship, dripping with newly integrated Vorgan weaponry, unleashed a barrage of energy that tore through the enemy formation. "Target their engines," Rodriguez ordered, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Use their disabled ships as cover against the next wave." As the battle raged around her, Rodriguez received a transmission from Earth Command. General Steele's face appeared on the screen, his expression grim. "Captain, we've detected another energy buildup in the Orc cloud," he reported. "Intel suggests an even larger Krenim force is preparing to use the gateway. We need to end this now, or we won't stand a chance against the next wave." Rodriguez nodded, her mind already formulating new strategies. "Understood. So we'll hold the line up here. But we'll need a miracle to turn this around." As if in answer to her words, the massive precursor ship that had been terraforming Mars suddenly changed course. It accelerated towards Earth at an impossible speed, its purpose unknown, but its power undeniable. In the asteroid belt, Commander Thomas Harding watched as the destabilized asteroids collided with each other, creating a dangerous field of charged debris. An idea formed in his mind, a risky move that might just give them an edge. "Helm, plot a course through the debris field," he ordered. "We're going to use it as cover and set up an ambush for the next wave of Krenim ships." As humanity fought for survival across the solar system, the newly awakened precursor technology continued to reshape the battlefield. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, with victory or annihilation only moments away. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, with victory or annihilation only moments away. General Marcus Steele's eyes darted across the holographic displays, assessing the dire situation. The Krenim Armada continued to pour through the Precursor Gateway, their numbers seemingly endless. Earth's defenses, bolstered by the activated Precursor platforms, were holding, but only barely. Steele's face hardened as he made a decision that could alter the course of the war. He turned to Dr. Aisha Patel, who stood nervously at a nearby console. Dr. Patel, activate the hidden Precursor subroutine in the AI Nexus, he ordered, his voice firm despite the weight of the decision. Patel's eyes widened. Sir, the risks dash. We're out of options. Steele cut her off. Do it. With trembling fingers, Patel input the activation sequence. The room hummed with energy as the AI Nexus transformed before their eyes. Streams of data flowed across the screens at impossible speeds, the AI's processing power increasing exponentially. Sir, the AI's voice resonated through the command center. I am now capable of predicting Krenim battle strategies with 99.8% accuracy, redirecting forces to critical points across the solar system. On Titan, Lieutenant Sarah Hawkins and her team huddled around the alien control panel they discovered deep within the Precursor facility. Sweat beaded on Hawkins' brow as she manipulated the holographic interface. Come on, she muttered, her fingers dancing across the controls. Suddenly, the facility hummed to life, and a wave of energy pulsed outward. We did it, one of her team members exclaimed. We've connected to the broader Precursor defense network. Hawkins allowed herself a small smile. Amplify those disruptive pulses. Let's give the Krenim a taste of their own medicine. In Earth orbit, Captain Elena Rodriguez watched in awe as her fleet's effectiveness suddenly increased tenfold. The enhanced AI Nexus coordinated their movements with uncanny precision, allowing them to anticipate and counter Krenim tactics before they even fully formed. Target the lead ships, Rodriguez ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. Cut off the Serpent's head. Her flagship's Vorgan-enhanced weapons lanced out, slicing through Krenim shields as if they were paper. Enemy ships exploded in brilliant flashes, their debris adding to the dangerous field of space junk surrounding Earth. On the moon's surface, Colonel Marcus Steele, Jr. marched down a sterile corridor, the captured Admiral Zaxtor floating beside him in a portable stasis field. They entered a high-security chamber filled with a mix of human and alien technology. Let's see what secrets you're hiding, Admiral, Steele said, his voice cold as he activated the interrogation systems. Meanwhile, on Mars, Governor Alexander Roth took a deep breath, savoring the thin but breathable atmosphere. The red planet had transformed before his eyes, vast oceans and lush vegetation replacing the barren landscape. Dr. Freeman, he called out, begin establishing evacuation zones. If Earth falls, Mars may be humanity's last hope. Back on Earth, major cities had become war zones. In the ruins of what was once downtown Los Angeles, Colonel Sarah Freeman led her Lazarus super soldiers in a daring counterattack. Their enhanced abilities allowed them to move with impossible speed and strength, catching the Krenim invaders off guard. Push them back, Freeman shouted, her voice carrying over the sound of energy weapons and crumbling concrete. We take back our home, block by block if we have to. In the asteroid belt, Commander Thomas Harding's unorthodox tactics were paying off. His ships darted between chunks of space debris, using them as cover while herding larger asteroids towards the incoming Krenim vessels. On my mark, Harding's voice crackled over the comm. Release the tractor beams. Let's give these invaders a rocky welcome. On Venus, Colonel Maria Vasquez stood transfixed as massive structures emerged from beneath the planet's surface. Ancient Precursor defense installations, dormant for millennia, now hummed with power. Divert all available power to those installations, Vasquez ordered. We need every weapon we can get. As the battle raged across the solar system, Lieutenant Hawkins made a startling discovery on Titan. Her team huddled around a holographic display, their faces illuminated by its ethereal glow. A master control hub, Hawkins breathed, her eyes wide. On Mercury, of all places. We need to get this information to General Steele immediately. The enhanced AI Nexus, its capabilities now far beyond its original programming, detected a new threat. A small group of Krenim Special Forces had slipped through Earth's defenses, heading towards the South Pole. General Steele received the alert, his mind racing with the implications. What could they be after, he muttered, before turning to his communications officer. Get me Major John Hawkins. We have a mission for him and his Lazarus team. As Major Hawkins and his enhanced soldiers raced towards Antarctica, the massive precursor vessel that had been approaching Earth suddenly changed course. It moved to intercept the largest concentration of Krenim ships, emitting a powerful energy field that disabled their weapons and propulsion systems. The battle for Earth and the entire solar system had reached a fever pitch. Humanity fought with every weapon and strategy at their disposal, from ancient alien technology to innovative tactics born of desperation. The Krenim invasion force seemed endless, but Earth's defenders refused to yield. In the command center, General Steele watched the unfolding chaos with steely perseverance. The enhanced AI Nexus continued to coordinate their forces with unparalleled efficiency, but even it couldn't predict the outcome of this unprecedented conflict. As reports flooded in from across the solar system, from the transformed surface of Mars to the awakening defenses of Venus, from the fierce ground battles on Earth to the space combat in the asteroid belt, Steele knew that the next few hours would determine the fate of humanity. The fate of the entire species rested on the decisions made in the next few crucial hours. Steele's comm unit crackled to life. General, this is Major John Hawkins. My team is ready for deployment to Antarctica. Proceed, Major, Steele responded, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. We've detected Krenim Special Forces heading towards the South Pole. Whatever they're after, we can't let them have it. In the launch bay of an orbiting space station, Hawkins and his team of Lazarus super soldiers strapped themselves into sleek, black drop pods. The bay doors opened, revealing the storm-racked face of Earth below. Remember your training, Hawkins said to his squad. We hit hard, we hit fast, and we don't let up until the job's done. The pods rocketed out of the bay, streaking through the atmosphere in a controlled burn. They punched through the thick cloud cover over Antarctica, deploying chutes at the last moment to slow their descent. The pods slammed into the ice, steam rising from their heat-shielded exteriors. Hawkins emerged first, his enhanced vision cutting through the swirling snow. Move out, he ordered, his voice barely audible over the howling wind. Thermals on. Watch for Krenim energy signatures. The squad fanned out, their movements fluid and precise despite the treacherous terrain. Their thermal imaging tech revealed a trail of heat signatures leading towards a massive ice shelf. Meanwhile, on the scorching surface of Mercury, Colonel Elena Rodriguez piloted a prototype heat-resistant shuttle towards a nondescript area of the planet's surface. Her small team of elite soldiers watched the sensors carefully, searching for any sign of the precursor control hub. There, her co-pilot said, pointing to a slight anomaly in the terrain. That depression doesn't match the surrounding geology. Rodriguez nodded, bringing the shuttle down for a landing. The team quickly donned their protective suits, designed to withstand Mercury's extreme temperature fluctuations. As they approached the anomaly, the ground beneath their feet began to shift. A massive door, camouflaged to match the surrounding rock, slowly ground open. Nexus, are you seeing this? Rodriguez asked, her helmet cam transmitting the footage back to Earth. Affirmative, Colonel. The AI's voice responded in her ear. Proceed with caution. Our analysis suggests multiple layers of automated defenses within the facility. Back on Mars, Governor Alexander Roth surveyed the rapidly changing landscape from the balcony of the newly established command center. Vast oceans now covered much of the planet's surface, while lush vegetation sprouted at an impossible rate. "Dr. Freeman," Roth called out, "what's the status on the evacuation zones?" Freeman looked up from her data pad. "We've established 3 primary zones, each capable of supporting up to 100,000 people. The terraforming machines are working overtime to expand habitable areas." Roth nodded, his expression grim. "Good. Coordinate with Earth's military. We need to start moving civilians here immediately. If Earth falls..." He left the sentence unfinished, but Freeman understood. Mars was quickly becoming humanity's insurance policy. In Earth orbit, Captain Thomas Harding received new orders from the enhanced AI Nexus. His fleet positioned strategically within the asteroid belt, prepared for a daring maneuver. "All ships, this is Harding," he announced over the comm. "We've identified a weakness in the Krenim formation. Prepare to launch Operation Rockslide." His ship's tractor beams engaged, carefully guiding massive asteroids into position. At Harding's command, they released their hold, sending a barrage of space rock hurtling towards the enemy fleet. The Krenim ships, caught off guard by the unorthodox tactic, scrambled to evade. Several were struck directly, their shields failing under the onslaught. Others collided with each other in their attempts to dodge, creating a chaotic domino effect throughout their ranks. On Venus, Colonel Maria Vasquez watched in awe as another precursor defense installation rose from beneath the planet's surface. The massive structure hummed with power, its weapon systems coming online. "Target the Krenim command ships," Vasquez ordered, her fingers dancing across the alien control panel. "Let's see what this baby can do." A brilliant beam of energy lanced out from the installation, cutting through space and slicing clean through 3 Krenim vessels before dissipating. The enemy fleet's formation broke, a significant portion diverting to deal with this new threat. In the depths of the lunar base, Colonel Marcus Steele Jr. stared at the captive Admiral Zaxthor, his mind racing with the implications of what he'd just learned. "A failsafe that could shut down the entire Krenim fleet," Steele muttered. "But at what cost?" He keyed his comm unit. "General Steele, sir, I have critical information from the prisoner. We may have a way to end this war in one stroke, but the collateral damage could be catastrophic." As battles raged across the solar system, humanity's forces fought with a mixture of desperate courage and newfound hope. The precursor technologies were turning the tide, but the Krenim's vast numbers and advanced weaponry still posed a dire threat. In Antarctica, Major Hawkins and his team closed in on their target, unaware of the ancient power they were about to unleash. On Mercury, Colonel Rodriguez prepared to face the challenges of the precursor control hub. And in Earth's orbit, General Steele contemplated the heavy decisions that would shape the future of humanity. The war for Earth had become a war for the entire solar system, with each passing moment bringing either closer to victory or the brink of annihilation. Annihilation or ascension to a new era of galactic prominence. General Steele's fingers hovered over the command console, his eyes scanning the holographic displays, showing the chaotic battles raging across the solar system. The enhanced AI Nexus had presented a daring strategy, one that could turn the tide of the war in a single coordinated strike. "This is General Steele to all commands," he announced, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "Implement Operation Solar Surge. I repeat, implement Operation Solar Surge." On Antarctica, Major John Hawkins ducked under a Krenim energy blade, feeling the heat singe his hair as it passed overhead. The partially exposed precursor artifact pulsed with an eerie blue light, its energy interfering with both human and Krenim weaponry. "Bravo, team! Flank left," Hawkins shouted, his enhanced muscles coiling before he launched himself at the Krenim squad leader. They collided in a tangle of limbs, the alien's exoskeleton creaking under the force of Hawkins' augmented strength. The ice beneath their feet groaned and shifted, cracks spiderwebbing outward from the artifact. Hawkins caught a glimpse of ancient machinery through one of the fissures, pulsing with the same ethereal energy as the exposed portion. On Mercury's scorching surface, Colonel Elena Rodriguez led her team through a maze of shifting platforms within the precursor control hub. Sweat beaded on her brow despite her suit's cooling systems working overtime. "Watch your step," she warned as a section of floor suddenly retracted, revealing a pit of swirling energy below. "The whole place is rigged with traps." They pressed forward, Rodriguez's tactical mind working overtime to decipher the facility's logic. As they approached the central chamber, alarms began to blare. "The power core's going critical," her second-in-command reported, eyes wide behind his visor. "We've got minutes, maybe less." Back on Earth, Colonel Sarah Freeman led her Lazarus super soldiers through the ruins of what was once Seattle. The city's iconic Space Needle lay toppled in the distance, a stark reminder of the devastation wrought by the Krenim invasion. "Target those disruptors," Freeman ordered, pointing to a cluster of alien devices emitting a sickly green glow. "Hawkins, Chong, you're on EMP duty." The enhanced soldiers moved with blinding speed, weaving through enemy fire as if it were in slow motion. Hawkins and Chong lobbed EMP grenades at the Krenim tech, the resulting explosions temporarily painting the sky an electric blue. In Earth's orbit, Captain Thomas Harding's voice crackled over the comm system of his flagship. "All ships, prepare for Operation Rockslide. Tractor beams at maximum power on my mark." His fleet, strategically positioned throughout the asteroid belt, locked onto a massive chunk of space rock nearly the size of a small moon. Harding's eyes narrowed as he calculated trajectories, factoring in the Earth's moon's gravitational pull. "Now!" he barked. Dozens of tractor beams engaged simultaneously, wrenching the asteroid from its orbit and sending it hurtling towards the heart of the Krenim formation. The impact was catastrophic, obliterating several capital ships and creating a debris field that sowed chaos among the alien fleet. On Venus, Colonel Maria Vasquez watched in horror as Krenim ships concentrated their fire on one of the reactivated precursor defense installations. The ancient structure's shields flickered and failed under the onslaught, its surface beginning to crack and crumble. "Damn it," Vasquez muttered, her fingers flying over the alien control panel. She diverted power from the other installations, trying to reinforce the failing defenses. A proximity alarm blared, warning of Krenim craft entering the atmosphere. "All personnel, prepare for immediate evacuation," she ordered, her voice tight with tension. "We hold as long as we can, but be ready to bug out at a moment's notice." On Mars, Governor Alexander Ross stared in awe at the holographic display showing the planet's rapidly changing surface. Vast oceans formed where there had been only dust, while the atmosphere thickened to Earth-like density in a matter of hours. "Incredible," he breathed, before a violent tremor shook the command center. "Status report. The accelerated terraforming is causing massive storms across the surface," Dr. Freeman reported, her voice raised over the sound of wind howling outside. "We need to secure the colonies and adjust our evacuation routes." Roth nodded grimly. "Do it. We can't lose our fail-safe if Earth falls." At the Titan facility, Lieutenant Sarah Hawkins pored over the data streaming from the precursor vessel. Her eyes widened as she deciphered a crucial piece of information. "General Steele," she called over the comm, "we've found something. A network of subspace beacons. If we can activate them in the right sequence, we might be able to create an energy field strong enough to repel the entire Krenim fleet." "Understood, Lieutenant," Steele's voice crackled back. "What's the catch?" Hawkins swallowed hard. "We'd need to activate them simultaneously across the solar system. The timing would have to be perfect, or—" She left the potential consequences unsaid. In the depths of the lunar base, Colonel Marcus Steele Jr. faced the captive Admiral Zaxthor. The Krenim leader's multifaceted eyes gleamed with a mixture of defiance and resignation. "You still don't understand, do you?" Zax Thor hissed. "This invasion, it was foretold. Your species' rise to power threatens the very fabric of galactic order." Steele's eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about?" "A prophecy," the alien continued. "One that speaks of humanity's ascension. We are not the only ones watching your struggle, human. The galaxy holds its breath, waiting to see if you will fulfill your destiny, or if we will snuff it out." Before Steele could press for more information, his comm unit crackled to life. It was his father, General Steele. "Son, we're implementing the AI's plan. Coordinate with the lunar defenses and prepare for a possible Krenim assault. Things are about to get interesting." As if in response to the general's words, the massive precursor vessel near Earth began to move. It positioned itself between the planet and the main Krenim fleet, projecting an enormous energy shield that temporarily halted the alien advance. In the command center on Earth, General Steele watched as the AI Nexus processed data from every front, refining its strategy. The plan it proposed was audacious, coordinating the activation of all discovered precursor technologies across the solar system. The resonance effect could neutralize Krenim weapons and drive systems. The AI explained, its voice calm and clinical. However, the interaction between these ancient technologies is not fully understood. There is a significant risk of unforeseen consequences. Steele weighed the options, acutely aware that the fate of humanity rested on his decision. The precursor shield wouldn't hold forever, and the Krenim's numbers seemed endless. They needed a game-changer. "Do it," he ordered, his voice resolute. "Transmit the activation sequence to all commands. It's time we show these invaders what humanity is truly capable of." As the orders went out, a sense of anticipation swept through the human forces. From the ice fields of Antarctica to the burning surface of Mercury, from the storm-racked plains of Mars to the treacherous atmosphere of Venus, they prepared to activate technologies beyond their comprehension. The next few moments would determine the course of human history. As the countdown began, every soldier, pilot, and civilian held their breath, hoping that this bold strategy would be enough to turn the tide of war. The future of Earth, the solar system, and humanity's place in the galaxy hung in the balance as the activation sequence initiated. The ancient precursor technologies humming to life across the solar system. System pulsed with energy, the ancient technologies awakening in a synchronized symphony of power. General Steele's voice echoed through every communication channel, his words carrying the weight of humanity's fate. "All units, this is it. Initiate the activation sequence on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." Across the solar system, human forces sprang into action. On Antarctica's icy expanse, Major John Hawkins felt the precursor artifact vibrate in his enhanced grip. The ice beneath his feet groaned and cracked as he lifted the device from its frozen prison. "Move, move," Hawkins shouted to his team, his augmented muscles straining as he carried the pulsing artifact. They sprinted across the treacherous terrain, the wind howling around them as they made their way to the nearby research station. Inside the facility, Hawkins carefully placed the artifact on a prepared pedestal. His fingers flew over the activation console, inputting the sequence provided by the AI Nexus. The artifact hummed to life, its blue glow intensifying until it filled the room with ethereal light. On Mercury's scorching surface, Colonel Elena Rodriguez and her team raced through the final chamber of the precursor control hub. Alarms blared, warning of the imminent core meltdown. "We're out of time," Rodriguez's second-in-command shouted over the din. Rodriguez gritted her teeth, her eyes fixed on the alien console before her. "Not yet, we're not." Her fingers danced across the controls, inputting the activation codes with lightning speed. The chamber rumbled, and for a heart-stopping moment, Rodriguez feared they had failed. Then, with a deep, resonant tone, the ancient machinery surged to life. Waves of energy pulsed outward from the hub, connecting with the other precursor installations across the solar system. Rodriguez allowed herself a small smile of triumph before turning to her team. "Now we run," she ordered, leading the charge out of the unstable facility. In Earth's orbit, Captain Thomas Harding watched as the massive precursor vessels' shield continued to hold back the Krenim advance. His fleet took up defensive positions around the planet, ready for whatever came next. "All ships, prepare for potential shockwave," Harding commanded, his voice steady despite the tension evident in his grip on the command chair. "Brace for impact and be ready to assist any damaged vessels." On Venus, Colonel Maria Vasquez made the heart-wrenching decision to evacuate her personnel. She watched from the last transport ship as the precursor defense installations on the planet's surface pulsed with increasing intensity. "Godspeed, you beautiful monstrosities," Vasquez murmured, her eyes fixed on the installations as they disappeared into the planet's thick atmosphere. The transport shuddered as it broke free of Venus's gravitational pull, joining a small flotilla of evacuation ships. Behind them, the precursor defenses continued their relentless assault on the Krenim forces, now operating on automatic targeting mode. On Mars, Governor Alexander Roth oversaw the final stages of the emergency evacuation. The newly activated precursor atmospheric control system had turned the red planet into a maelstrom of howling winds and electrical storms. "Get those shuttles in the air now," Roth bellowed over the comm, his eyes fixed on the swirling clouds above. Energy arced between the storm fronts, creating a dazzling but terrifying display of power. As the last of the evacuation ships lifted off, Roth felt a tremor run through the ground beneath his feet. He looked up to see waves of visible energy rippling through the Martian atmosphere, connecting with the growing network of precursor technology throughout the solar system. At the Titan facility, Lieutenant Sarah Hawkins initiated the activation sequence for the subspace beacon network. The ancient devices hummed to life, creating a web of energy that stretched across the vast distances of space. Hawkins watched in awe as holographic displays showed the network taking shape. "It's working," she breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's actually working." In the Orc cloud, the unstable precursor gateway began to fluctuate wildly. Krenim ships emerging from the portal found themselves caught in a maelstrom of conflicting energies, unable to advance or retreat. On Earth's moon, Colonel Marcus Steele, Jr. continued his interrogation of Admiral Zaxthor. As the energy field generated by the precursor network intensified, the Krenim leader's multifaceted eyes widened in recognition and fear. "The awakening," Zaxthor hissed, his alien features contorting in a mix of awe and terror. "It was foretold, but we did not believe. We could not have known." "What are you talking about?" Steele demanded, leaning in closer. Zaxthor's gaze locked onto Steele's. The prophecy spoke not only of humanity's rise, but of an ancient power that would awaken to challenge us. "We thought it mere legend, but now—" The alien's words were cut short as the lunar base shuddered, the energy field growing stronger by the second. On Earth, Colonel Sarah Freeman led her Lazarus super soldiers in a final push against the Krenim ground forces. As the precursor energy field manifested around the planet, she noticed something strange happening to the alien invaders. "Their weapons," Freeman called out, watching as Krenim energy rifles sputtered and died. "They're malfunctioning." Her enhanced soldiers pressed the advantage, moving with blinding speed to overwhelm the suddenly vulnerable Krenim forces. Freeman felt a surge of energy course through her own body, her already augmented abilities seeming to increase exponentially. In the command center on Earth, General Marcus Steele watched as reports flooded in from across the solar system. The AI Nexus processed the data at incredible speeds, its avatar's expression shifting to one of surprise, an emotion Steele had never seen on the artificial being's face before. "General," the AI Nexus announced, its voice carrying a note of urgency. The resonance effect is not limited to Krenim technology. Human systems are being affected as well, and there are reports of physiological changes in human personnel. Steele's brow furrowed. What kind of changes? Before the AI could respond, a blinding flash of light filled the command center. A massive shockwave emanated from the center of the solar system, passing through the holographic displays like a ripple in a pond. Report. Steele barked, blinking away the afterimage. The shockwave is passing harmlessly through our ships and installations, the AI Nexus reported. But the Krenim fleet. They're going dark, sir. Steele watched in astonishment as Krenim vessels across the system lost power, their weapons falling silent and navigation systems failing. In the Orc cloud, the unstable precursor gateway collapsed in on itself, creating a powerful gravitational disturbance that began to pull in the disabled Krenim ships. As the situation unfolded, Steele realized that the tide of battle had shifted dramatically in humanity's favor. However, the unexpected effects of the precursor technology on human physiology and the potential consequences of the gateway's collapse presented new challenges and opportunities. All available forces, press our advantage, Steele ordered, his voice carrying across all communication channels. Captain Harding, begin rounding up those disabled Krenim ships. Colonel Freeman, secure all Krenim landing sites and capture what technology you can. As the orders went out, Steele noticed movement on one of the holographic displays. The massive precursor vessel near Earth, its energy shield dissipating, began to move away from the planet. It set a course for the outer solar system, its purpose still unknown. Steele watched it go, a mixture of relief and apprehension settling in his gut. They had won this battle, perhaps even the war, but at what cost? And what new challenges would arise from the awakening of these ancient technologies? As reports of victory poured in from across the solar system, Steele knew that this was not the end, but rather the beginning of a new chapter in human history. The Krenim threat might be subsiding, but the consequences of their high-stakes endeavor were only beginning to unfold. As reports of victory poured in from across the solar system, General Steele knew that this was not the end, but rather the beginning of a new chapter in human history. The Krenim threat might be subsiding, but the consequences of their high-stakes endeavor were only beginning to unfold. Captain Harding, Steele's voice cut through the flurry of activity in the command center. Begin rounding up those disabled Krenim ships immediately. We need to secure as much of their technology as possible. Understood, sir, Harding replied, his holographic image flickering slightly. I'm dispatching teams now. We'll start with the largest vessels first. Steele nodded, then turned his attention to another display. Colonel Freeman, what's your status? Sarah Freeman's face appeared, streaked with grime and sweat. We're making good progress, so the Krenim ground forces are in disarray. My team is moving to secure their primary landing sites and command centers. Excellent work, Colonel. Prioritize capturing intact data systems and command nodes. We need all the intelligence we can get. As Freeman acknowledged the order, Dr. Aisha Patel burst into the command center, her eyes wide with excitement and concern. General Steele, we're receiving reports of unusual physiological changes among our personnel, she said, her voice tinged with a mix of awe and apprehension. Steele frowned. What kind of changes, Doctor? Enhanced strength, accelerated healing, heightened senses, Patel replied, pulling up a series of medical scans on a nearby display. It seems the precursor energy field is affecting human biology in ways we never anticipated. Before Steele could respond, an alert chimed from the main tactical display. The massive precursor vessel near Earth had begun to move, setting a course for the outer solar system. Sir, the AI Nexus interjected, I recommend we dispatch a team to follow and observe the precursor vessel. Its purpose and destination remain unknown. Steele nodded, his mind racing to potential candidates. "Get me Colonel Rodriguez," he ordered. Moments later, Elena Rodriguez's face appeared on the screen. "Sir." "Colonel, I'm promoting you to commander effective immediately. I need you to assemble a task force and pursue that precursor ship. Use whatever Krenim tech we've managed to reverse engineer. Find out where it's going and why." Rodriguez's eyes widened slightly, but she quickly regained her composure. "Yes, sir, I'll get my team ready right away." As Rodriguez's image faded, Steele turned his attention to the red planet. "Get me Governor Roth on Mars." Alexander Roth's harried face appeared on the screen, the Martian storms visible through a window behind him. "General, the situation here is volatile. The precursor atmospheric control system is working overtime. We're seeing terraforming effects that should take centuries happening in a matter of hours." "Can you control it, Governor?" Roth ran a hand through his hair. "We're trying. I've got every scientist and engineer available working on it. If we can harness this energy, we might be able to create a stable, Earth-like environment on Mars within weeks." "Do what you can, Governor. Keep me updated." As Roth's image disappeared, Steele felt the weight of command pressing down on him. The Krenim threat might be neutralized, but the challenges facing humanity were far from finished. "Sir," the AI Nexus interrupted his thoughts, "I'm receiving a transmission from Lieutenant Hawkins on Titan." Sarah Hawkins' excited face filled the screen. "General, we've made a breakthrough. The precursor database contains information about a network of dormant outposts scattered throughout the galaxy. If we can activate them, it could open up unprecedented opportunities for expansion and exploration." Steele leaned forward, his interest piqued. "Good work, Lieutenant. Compile all the data you can and transmit it to Earth for analysis." As Hawkins signed off, another alert chimed. This time, it was Commander Harding, his face grim. "General, we've got a situation in the Orc cloud. The collapse of the precursor gateway has created a significant gravitational disturbance. It's affecting the orbits of comets and other bodies out there. If we don't act fast, we could be looking at potential collisions with inter-system planets." Steele cursed under his breath. "Redirect a portion of your fleet to handle it, Commander. Use whatever means necessary to stabilize those orbits." As Harding acknowledged the order, Steele turned to Dr. Patel. "Doctor, I need you to work with the AI Nexus. Analyze these physiological changes in our personnel. I want to know the full extent of what's happening and any potential long-term consequences." Patel nodded, already moving towards a nearby console. "Of course, General. We'll start compiling data immediately." Steele took a deep breath, surveying the bustling command center. Humanity had won a great victory, but the work was not nearly finished. As he prepared to coordinate the global recovery effort, his mind raced with the possibilities and challenges that lay ahead. The defeat of the Krenim and the awakening of precursor technologies had thrust Earth into a position of unprecedented power and influence. But with that power came new responsibilities and dangers. As Steele began issuing orders for the reconstruction of damaged cities and the integration of captured Krenim technology, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a much larger story. In the depths of space, Commander Rodriguez's task force prepared to chase the enigmatic precursor vessel into the unknown. On Mars, Governor Roth and his team raced against time to control the accelerated terraforming process. And across Earth, millions of people were beginning to discover new abilities they never thought possible. The next chapter in human history was about to unfold, and General Marcus Steele found himself at the center of it all, guiding humanity towards an uncertain but potentially glorious future among the stars. Stars among the vast expanse of space. The familiar hum of the transport ship's engines filled the cabin as General Marcus Steele gazed out the viewport, watching as the neutral space station grew larger in the distance. Earth's first official delegation to the Galactic Council had arrived. Steele turned to address his team. Remember, we're not just representing Earth here. We're representing humanity's future among the stars. Dr. Aisha Patel nodded, her eyes bright with commitment. The medical data on the physiological changes should make quite an impression, sir. Admiral Thomas Harding, standing at attention near the airlock, added, and our tactical successes against the Krenim will certainly turn some heads. The AI Nexus, its avatar projected from a nearby console, spoke up. I prepared a comprehensive data package on our technological advancements. The Council will find it most illuminating. As the ship docked with a gentle thud, Steele took a deep breath. Let's make history. The delegation stepped into the Grand Assembly Hall, a cavernous space filled with representatives from dozens of alien species. Murmurs and whispers rippled through the crowd as the humans made their way to the central podium. Steele's voice rang out clear and strong as he addressed the Council. Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, I stand before you today not just as a representative of Earth, but as a voice for humanity's potential. He gestured to the holographic display behind him, which sprang to life with images of Earth's victory over the Krenim and the activation of precursor technologies. We have faced our trial by fire and emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to take our place among the stars. As Steele spoke, the AI Nexus suddenly alerted him through a private channel. General, I've detected an ongoing cyber attack on our systems. I'm countering it now. Without missing a beat, Steele continued his address while the AI worked furiously in the background. The Council members leaned forward, their attention captured by the evidence of humanity's rapid advancement. Suddenly, a commotion erupted near the back of the hall. Security forces swarmed around a group of aliens, quickly subduing them. The head of the Council, a towering, multi-limbed being, spoke. It appears we have Krenim loyalists among us. General Steele, your AI's swift action has prevented a potential security breach. Most impressive. Steele nodded graciously. Thank you, Counselor. We come in peace, but we are always prepared. The Council members exchanged meaningful glances. The head counselor spoke again. Perhaps it's time we put humanity's new capabilities to the test. There's a long-standing border dispute in the Proxima system that has resisted all attempts at resolution. Would Earth be willing to mediate? Steele's eyes gleamed with the challenge. We would be honored to assist the Council in this matter. As the Council session continued, light years away, Commander Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of her ship, staring at the massive precursor vessel that had suddenly halted its journey near the Kuiper Belt. All stop, she ordered. Activate cloaking systems. Her crew worked silently, bringing the ship to a halt and engaging their advanced stealth technology. On the main view screen, a strange object floated in the void near the precursor ship. What is that thing? Rodriguez muttered, leaning forward for a closer look. Back on Mars, Governor Alexander Roth watched in awe as the first shuttles descended through the newly transformed Martian atmosphere. The red planet was no longer red, its surface now a patchwork of blues and greens. Welcome home, he said softly as the first colonists stepped onto Martian soil. In Antarctica, Major John Hawkins burst into the research facility's main lab, his face flushed with excitement. We've cracked it, he shouted, waving a data pad. The artifact. It's a key to a galactic transportation network. His team gathered around, their eyes wide as they absorbed the implications of this discovery. On Venus, Colonel Maria Vasquez surveyed the lush landscape that had replaced the planet's once toxic surface. She marked a spot on her digital map. Here, she said to her team, this is where we'll build our first city. In Earth orbit, Admiral Zaxthor, his alien features set in stubborn persistence, pointed to a star chart. These are the locations of hidden Krenim outposts, he explained to Captain Sarah Freeman. They won't expect humans to find them. Freeman nodded, already formulating a plan. We'll need to move quickly and quietly. Is your intel on their defense systems up to date? As these events unfolded across the solar system and beyond, the AI Nexus made its startling discovery about the faint energy signatures matching the precursor network. It immediately relayed this information to General Steele, who was still engaged in discussions with the Galactic Council. Steele's mind raced with the possibilities. A vast, interconnected network of precursor installations spanning the galaxy? The potential for exploration and advancement was staggering. As the council session drew to a close, Steele found himself already drafting plans for a new governing body in his mind. The Human Interstellar Alliance would be crucial in coordinating Earth's rapidly expanding sphere of influence. He looked out at the assembled alien representatives, feeling the weight of humanity's newfound responsibility settling on his shoulders. The challenges ahead were immense, but for the first time in history, humanity had the tools, the knowledge, and the opportunity to become a true galactic power. The journey ahead would be unlike anything they had faced before, filled with opportunities and challenges that would test the limits of human ingenuity and tenacity. As General Steele's transport ship departed from the Galactic Council Station, he couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation for what awaited them back in the solar system. The moment they entered Earth's orbit, Steele's communication system lit up with urgent messages. Commander Elena Rodriguez's face appeared on the main screen, her eyes wide with excitement. "General, we've made contact with the precursor vessel," she reported, her voice barely containing her enthusiasm. "It led us to an installation in the Kuiper Belt. You won't believe what we found." Steele leaned forward, intrigued. "Go on, Commander." "It's a massive structure, so we managed to board it using our cloaking technology. The technology inside. It's beyond anything we've ever seen. We're still cataloging everything, but the potential here is staggering." As Rodriguez continued her report, another transmission came through. It was Governor Alexander Roth from Mars, his face beaming with pride. "General, I'm pleased to report that New Eden is officially open," Roth announced. "The first wave of colonists has arrived, and we're already seeing a thriving community take shape. It's remarkable how quickly the terraforming has progressed." Steele nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. "Excellent work, Governor. Keep me updated on the colony's progress." No sooner had Roth's transmission ended than Major John Hawkins burst onto the screen, his excitement palpable even through the digital image. "General, we've done it," Hawkins exclaimed. "We've activated the Precursor Gate network. We've opened a stable wormhole to another star system." Steele's eyes widened. This was the breakthrough they'd been waiting for. "Outstanding work, Major. Prepare a full report for me immediately." As the transport ship docked with Earth's orbital station, Steele turned to his team. "It seems we have our work cut out for us. Convene an emergency meeting of Earth's leaders. It's time to formalize the Human Interstellar Alliance." The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. Leaders from around the world gathered to discuss the formation of the new governing body. After hours of debate and negotiation, the Human Interstellar Alliance was born, with Steele appointed as its first High Commander. As Steele addressed the newly formed council, another urgent message came through. It was Captain Sarah Freeman, her face grim. "High Commander, we've uncovered a Krenim outpost," she reported. "They're developing a biological weapon targeted specifically at humans. We're preparing to neutralize the threat and secure their research data." Steele's eyes hardened. "Proceed with caution, Captain. We can't afford to let that weapon see the light of day." As Freeman's team launched their covert operation, Colonel Maria Vasquez reported in from Venus. The holographic display showed her standing in front of a gleaming citadel, the newly christened Aphrodite Prime. "High Commander, Aphrodite Prime is operational," Vasquez announced. "We've successfully integrated the precursor defense systems into our infrastructure. We're ready to begin full-scale colonization efforts." Steele nodded, impressed by the rapid progress. "Well done, Colonel. I'm appointing you as the first governor of Aphrodite Prime. Continue to build our presence there." As reports continued to flood in from across human-controlled space, the AI Nexus made a startling announcement. "Hi, Commander." The AI's calm voice filled the command center. "I've identified a pattern in the precursor energy signatures. They form a map leading to what appears to be a central hub. This could be the key to unlocking the full potential of the precursor network." Steele's mind raced with the possibilities. "Assemble a team," he ordered. "Our best and brightest. Scientists, soldiers, engineers. I want them all. We're calling them the Pathfinders." As preparations for the Pathfinders' first mission began, Dr. Aisha Patel burst into the command center, her eyes shining with excitement. "Hi, Commander, we've cracked it," she announced breathlessly. "We've developed a safe method to enhance human abilities using precursor technology. We can create individuals capable of directly interfacing with their systems." Steele nodded, his mind already considering the implications. "Begin the enhancement program immediately, Doctor. We'll need these augmented individuals for our exploration efforts." As the Human Interstellar Alliance began to solidify its position in the galaxy, Steele dispatched ambassadors to various alien species they had encountered during the Krenim conflict. Trade agreements and mutual defense pacts were negotiated, strengthening humanity's standing in the galactic community. However, not all news was positive. Admiral Harding's face appeared on the main screen, his expression concerned. "Hi, Commander. We're picking up chatter about growing anti-human sentiment among certain alien factions," he reported. "It seems not everyone is happy about our rapid ascension." Steele's expression hardened. "Increase security measures across all our territories, Admiral, and accelerate the development of new defensive technologies. We won't be caught off guard." As Steele stood in the command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the extent of human-controlled space, he couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. Humanity had come so far in such a short time, but he knew that this was just the beginning. With the Precursor Gate network activated, the Kuiper Belt installation under study, and the Pathfinders preparing for their first mission, the stage was set for humanity's next great adventure. The command center buzzed with activity as reports continued to pour in from across the galaxy. Steele's eyes narrowed as he focused on a new alert flashing on the main screen. It was time for the Pathfinders to begin their mission, and he knew that whatever they discovered would shape the future of humanity in ways they could scarcely imagine. As the Pathfinders prepared for their departure, Steele activated the command center's holographic display, bringing up a detailed map of the known galaxy. "Major Hawkins, your team is about to embark on a journey that will shape the future of humanity," Steele said, his voice carrying the weight of command. "The Central Precursor Hub awaits your exploration. Be cautious, but don't hesitate to push the boundaries of what we know." Hawkins nodded, his augmented eyes gleaming with purpose. "We won't let you down, sir. The Pathfinders are ready for whatever we might encounter." The team boarded their sleek, Precursor Tech-enhanced vessel, the Horizon. As the ship entered the newly activated transportation gate, a brilliant flash of energy engulfed it, propelling the Pathfinders across vast distances of space in mere moments. They emerged in an unfamiliar star system, the Horizon sensors immediately locking onto a massive structure floating in the void. The Precursor Hub loomed before them, a sprawling space station that dwarfed anything humanity had ever constructed. "My God," whispered Dr. Alara Chun, the team's xenoarchaeologist. "It's beautiful." As the Horizon approached the station, dormant systems suddenly flickered to life. The hub's exterior blazed with pulsing energy patterns, and without warning, A barrage of defense countermeasures activated. Evasive maneuvers. Hawkins shouted as energy beams lanced out towards the ship. The Horizon's pilot, Lieutenant Kai Tanaka, his neural implants interfacing directly with the ship's controls, executed a series of impossible turns, narrowly avoiding the onslaught. "We need to find a way inside," Hawkins said, studying the station's layout on a holographic display. That looks like a docking port. Tanaka, think you can get us in there?" The pilot grinned. "Watch me, sir." Back in the solar system, Commander Elena Rodriguez stood in the cavernous interior of the Kuiper Belt Precursor installation, her eyes wide with wonder. Before her stretched row upon row of construction bays, each large enough to house a capital ship. "Start powering up the systems," she ordered her team. "I want a full diagnostic on the shipyard's capabilities within the hour." As her crew worked, Rodriguez's mind raced with the possibilities. With this technology, humanity could construct a fleet unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. On Mars, Governor Alexander Roth surveyed the red planet's rapidly changing landscape from the observation deck of New Eden's central spire. Swaths of green were spreading across the surface as precursor terraforming technology accelerated the planet's transformation. A holographic display materialized before him, showing the plans for 3 new city sites. "We're pushing the limits of our current infrastructure," Roth mused. "But we can't slow down now. The future of humanity depends on our success here." He authorized the construction plans with a gesture, setting in motion a new phase of Martian colonization. In a distant star system, Captain Sarah Freeman oversaw the final stages of constructing a forward operating base. The installation's sensor arrays were already online, scanning vast swathes of space for any potential threats. "Defense grid is at 100% capacity, Captain," reported her second-in-command. Freeman nodded, satisfaction evident in her expression. "Excellent. This outpost will serve as our eyes and ears in this sector. Let's make sure it stays that way." On Venus, Colonel Maria Vasquez stood before a gathering of Earth's top scientists and engineers in Aphrodite Prime's central research facility. Behind her, a massive precursor defense installation hummed with power. "Gentlemen, ladies, we stand on the brink of a technological revolution," Vasquez began. "The secrets of precursor energy weapons and shield systems are within our grasp. It's time we put them to use." As the research teams dispersed to their assigned projects, Vasquez received an urgent communication from Earth. General Steele's holographic image appeared before her. "Colonel, we have detected an anomaly in a nearby system," Steele said, his voice tense. "Active precursor tech, but it's not one of ours. I need you to assemble a team for a covert reconnaissance mission. We may be dealing with first contact scenario here." Vasquez straightened, her mind already formulating plans. "Understood. Sir will be ready to deploy within 24 hours." As humanity's influence continued to expand, the corridors of power within the Galactic Council buzzed with nervous energy. Ambassadors from various species huddled in small groups, their voices hushed as they discussed the rapid rise of these upstart humans. In response, General Steele intensified his diplomatic efforts. He dispatched teams of skilled negotiators to key alien worlds, armed with offers of trade agreements and technological exchange programs. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, the Pathfinders continued their perilous exploration of the Precursor Hub. Major Hawkins led his team through a maze of ancient corridors, each step bringing them closer to the station's central core. "The energy readings are off the charts," Dr. Chin reported, her eyes fixed on her scanner. "Whatever's powering this place, it's unlike anything we've ever encountered." As they rounded a corner, they found themselves face to face with a massive door, covered in intricate precursor symbols. Hawkins placed his hand on the cool metal surface, and to everyone's surprise, the door began to slide open. Looks like these augmentations are good for something after all, he quipped. The team stepped through the doorway, their eyes widening as they beheld the vast chamber beyond. Banks of alien computers lined the walls, and at the center stood a pulsing column of energy that seemed to defy the laws of physics. This is it, Hawkins breathed. The control center for the entire precursor network. With this, we could potentially activate every precursor installation in the galaxy. As the Pathfinders began to explore the chamber, humanity stood poised on the brink of a new era. The discoveries made here would shape the course of human history for generations to come, but they also carried with them the seeds of potential conflict. The galaxy watched and waited, unsure what this resurgent species would do next. As the Pathfinders ventured deeper into the central chamber of the precursor hub, Major Hawkins approached the pulsing column of energy at its center. His augmented eyes scanned the alien control panels surrounding it, searching for any familiar patterns or interfaces. "Dr. Chen, what do you make of these symbols?" he asked, gesturing to a series of intricate glyphs etched into the base of the energy column. Chen studied them intently, her brow furrowed in concentration. "They're similar to the ones we've seen on other precursor artifacts, but there's something different here. It's almost as if—" Before she could finish her thought, Hawkins placed his hand on the control panel. The room hummed with sudden energy, and a massive holographic display materialized above them, filling the chamber with a dazzling array of lights. "My God," Chen whispered, her eyes wide with awe. "It's a map of the entire galaxy." The hologram pulsed with countless points of light, each representing a precursor installation. As the team watched in stunned silence, lines of energy began to connect the points, forming an intricate web that spanned the entirety of the Milky Way. Hawkins activated his comm link. "Hi, Commander Steele. This is Major Hawkins. You're going to want to see this." Back in the solar system, Commander Elena Rodriguez stood in the control room of the Kuiper Belt shipyard, her heart racing with anticipation. Months of tireless work had led to this moment. "All systems are go, Commander," her chief engineer reported. "The Phoenix is ready for launch." Rodriguez nodded, her eyes fixed on the massive view screen before her. "Initiate launch sequence." The shipyard's massive doors slowly parted, revealing the void of space beyond. With a surge of energy, the Phoenix emerged from its berth, its sleek hull gleaming in the pale light of the distant sun. "Beautiful," Rodriguez murmured, marveling at the ship's graceful lines and the faint blue glow emanating from its precursor-derived engines. As the Phoenix glided effortlessly through space, Rodriguez turned to her assembled crew. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to embark on a journey that will push the boundaries of human exploration. Let's show the galaxy what we're capable of." On Mars, Governor Alexander Roth stood at the edge of a massive excavation site, staring down into the depths of the newly discovered precursor complex. The scale of the underground facility was staggering, stretching far beyond the limits of their initial scans. Dr. Samantha Reeves, the lead xenoarchaeologist, approached him with a data pad in hand. "Governor, you need to see this. We've identified what appears to be a central control room for the entire complex." Roth followed her through a series of winding corridors, marveling at the perfectly preserved alien architecture. As they entered the control room, he gasped at the sight of a massive holographic display showing a detailed model of Mars. "Is that what I think it is?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Reeves nodded, her eyes shining with excitement. "It's a terraforming control system, sir, and it's not just for Mars. We've found data on similar installations for Venus, and even some of the larger moons in the system." Roth's mind raced with the implications. "Get me a secure line to High Commander Steele. He needs to know about this immediately." In a distant star system, Captain Sarah Freeman peered intently at the sensor readings on her command console. The energy signatures from the nearby planet were unlike anything she had encountered before. Magnify Sector 7G, she ordered. The view screen zoomed in on a sprawling city nestled in a verdant valley, its architecture a blend of organic forms and crystalline structures. Life signs? Freeman asked, her voice tense. Her science officer nodded. Millions of them, Captain. And they're definitely not human. Freeman leaned back in her chair, weighing her options. The discovery of a new alien civilization could be a game-changer for humanity's position in the galaxy. But interfering with their development could have dire consequences. Keep our presence hidden, she finally decided. We'll observe and gather data, but maintain strict non-interference protocols. And double our security patrols. We can't risk them discovering our outpost. On Earth, General Marcus Steele stood before the holographic images of the Galactic Council representatives, his eyebrows furrowed in willpower. Humanity will not halt its progress, nor will we surrender the precursor technology we've discovered, he stated firmly. We have as much right to explore and advance as any other species in this galaxy. The council members erupted in a cacophony of angry voices and threats. Steele cut the transmission, turning to face his advisors. Prepare our diplomatic corps for extended negotiations, he ordered, and put our fleet on high alert. We won't start a war, but we'll be damned sure we're ready if one comes to us. As tensions mounted across the galaxy, the AI Nexus made a startling announcement. Its holographic avatar appeared in Steele's command center, its expression grave. High Commander, I've detected a significant threat, the AI reported. A dormant precursor weapons platform of immense power has been located in a distant star system. If activated, it could pose a grave danger to multiple species, including humanity. Steele's mind raced with the implications. Can we secure it? The AI nodded. I recommend a joint operation between the Pathfinders and Commander Rodriguez's team. Time is of the essence. As Steele began formulating plans for this crucial mission, reports flooded in from across human space. Colonel Vasquez's breakthroughs in energy weapon technology, the deployment of new defensive measures, and the ongoing exploration of precursor sites painted a picture of a civilization on the brink of a new era. Yet with each advancement came new challenges and threats. The galaxy watched and waited, unsure of what this resurgent human species would do next. As the pieces moved on this cosmic chessboard, one thing was certain. The fate of humanity, and perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. As the fate of humanity and the galaxy hung in the balance, General Marcus Steele's comm unit chimed with an urgent alert. The Human Interstellar Alliance research outpost had just come under attack. Steele's eyes hardened as he absorbed the implications. This was no random act of aggression. It was a calculated move by an unknown enemy. He immediately sprang into action, initiating a series of rapid-fire commands to his staff. Implement Defense Protocol Omega, he ordered, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. And get me Captain Sarah Freeman. Now. Within minutes, Captain Freeman's holographic image materialized before him. Her expression was grim, already sensing the weight of her impending mission. Captain, we've got a situation, Steele began, quickly briefing her on the attack. I need you to lead a covert operation. Your objective: infiltrate suspected enemy strongholds and identify the key players in this anti-human coalition. Freeman nodded, her mind already formulating strategies. Understood. Sir, I'll assemble my team immediately. We'll need the latest precursor-derived enhancements for this one. As Freeman set about preparing for her mission, Steele turned his attention to the Pathfinder's team. Major John Hawkins and his crew were still deep within the central precursor hub, unaware of the recent attack. Major Hawkins, this is General Steele. He spoke into his comm. Continue your exploration of the hub, but be on high alert. We've got hostiles making moves against us. Hawkins' voice crackled back. Copy that. Sir, we've just made a breakthrough here. We've activated a dormant communication array. It's receiving signals from precursor installations we didn't even know existed. Steele's eyes widened at the implications. That could be a game changer, Major. Keep me updated on any further discoveries. Meanwhile, on Mars, Governor Alexander Roth stood at the precipice of a monumental discovery. The vast underground precursor complex had yielded its secrets at last. Dr. Samantha Reeves approached him, her eyes shining with excitement. "Governor, we've done it," she announced breathlessly. "We've accessed their terraforming database. The information here, it's beyond anything we could have imagined." Roth's mind raced with possibilities. "Contact General Steele immediately. We're initiating an accelerated terraforming program for Venus and Jupiter's moons. This is the breakthrough we've been waiting for." As Roth set his plans in motion, Commander Elena Rodriguez was overseeing the final test of the Phoenix in the Kuiper Belt shipyard. The sleek vessel moved with a grace that belied its immense power, its precursor-derived engines glowing with an otherworldly blue light. "All systems are nominal, Commander," her chief engineer reported. "She's exceeding all our expectations." Rodriguez allowed herself a small smile of satisfaction. "Excellent. Prepare a full report for General Steele. If this performs as well as we hope, we might just have shifted the balance of power in our favor." Back on Earth, the AI Nexus had made a startling discovery. Its holographic avatar appeared before Steele, its expression unreadable. "Hi, Commander. I've detected an anomaly in a nearby star system," the AI reported. "A planet with Earth-like conditions, but devoid of advanced life. My analysis suggests it may be a prepared colony site, left by the precursors." Steele leaned forward, intrigued. "A gift from our mysterious benefactors, perhaps? Assemble a survey team immediately. We need to know everything about this planet." As these events unfolded across human space, Captain Sarah Freeman and her team of elite operatives were already on the move. Their ship, cloaked with the latest stealth technology, slipped silently through the vast expanse of space. Freeman studied the mission briefing one last time, her augmented eyes easily processing the flood of information. Their first target, a suspected coalition stronghold in the Arcturus system. "Team, gear up," she ordered, her voice calm but authoritative. "We're going in dark. Our objective is intelligence gathering only. Avoid engagement unless absolutely necessary." As her operatives prepared for their first covert insertion, Freeman couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the precipice of a conflict that would reshape the galaxy. But whatever challenges lay ahead, she was determined to ensure that humanity would not only survive but thrive. The ship's AI announced their approach to the Arcturus system, and Freeman took a deep breath, centering herself for the mission ahead. As they prepared to drop out of FTL, she knew that the information they gathered here could mean the difference between victory and annihilation for the Human Interstellar Alliance. As the ship decelerated, Freeman's comm unit chimed with an urgent message from General Steele. "Captain, we've confirmed Krenim involvement in the anti-human coalition." Steele's voice crackled through the secure channel. "Return to base immediately. We're initiating a full-scale response." Freeman's fist tight. The Krenim were a formidable species, known for their advanced temporal technology. Their involvement changed everything. "Understood. Sir, we're on our way back." As Freeman's ship reversed course, activity across human space kicked into high gear. On Earth, General Marcus Steele convened an emergency meeting of the Human Interstellar Alliance's top brass. The war room buzzed with tension as holographic displays flickered to life, showing the faces of key officials from across human-controlled space. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're facing a critical threat," Steele began, his voice grave. "The Krenim are backing our opponents. We need to act decisively and immediately." The room erupted in a flurry of strategic discussions. Plans were proposed, debated, and refined in rapid succession. As the meeting progressed, a multi-pronged operation took shape. Captain Freeman, fresh from her recon mission, took point on a series of surgical strikes against the Coalition's key facilities. Her teams, armed with cutting-edge precursor-derived weapons, moved like ghosts through enemy territory. In the Sirius system, Freeman's squad infiltrated a massive shipyard. They planted quantum-linked charges throughout the facility, their stealth suits rendering them invisible to the alien security systems. As they exfiltrated, the charges detonated simultaneously, reducing the shipyard to a field of debris. Similar scenes played out across a dozen star systems. Coalition communication hubs went dark, supply lines were severed, and critical infrastructure crumbled. The strikes were precise, devastating, and impossible to attribute directly to human forces. Meanwhile, deep within the central precursor hub, Major John Hawkins and his Pathfinders team made a startling discovery. As they deciphered the alien interfaces, a holographic display sprang to life, revealing a vast network of interconnected defense platforms spanning multiple sectors of space. "My God!" Hawkins breathed, his eyes wide. "It's a defensive grid. If we can reactivate this." His fingers flew over the alien controls, interfacing seamlessly thanks to the neural link technology developed by the Antarctic research team. Slowly, methodically, the ancient precursor defense system began to awaken. Across human space, Commander Elena Rodriguez oversaw a massive industrial effort. The success of the Phoenix had opened new possibilities, and now shipyards from Earth to the Kuiper Belt worked around the clock to produce a fleet of advanced warships. Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the newly christened Hyperion, the second vessel of the Phoenix class. She watched as a dozen sleek warships took formation around her, their precursor-derived engines pulsing with barely suppressed power. "All ships report ready, Commander," her XO announced. Rodriguez nodded, a fierce pride swelling in her chest. "Excellent. Set course for the Arcturus system. Let's show these Krenim what humanity is capable of." As the fleet jumped to FTL, leaving a trail of blue fire in their wake, other fronts of the human response continued to unfold. On Mars, the atmosphere shimmered with a new, breathable mixture of gases. Governor Alexander Roth stood on the surface, his environmental suit conspicuously absent. "To think," he mused to Dr. Samantha Reeves, who stood beside him, "just months ago, we couldn't have dreamed of standing here like this." Reeves nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon where new habitation domes were under construction. "The precursor terraforming technology is. It's beyond anything we could have imagined, and with the new resources we're able to extract. We're changing the game," Roth finished. "But we need to move faster. The Coalition won't wait for us to catch up." As Mars transformed, the AI Nexus made its own crucial discovery. It identified a series of precursor relay stations scattered throughout Coalition space. If activated, these stations could disrupt the enemy's FTL communications, effectively blinding their command and control. General Steele wasted no time. He dispatched a series of covert teams, each tasked with securing and activating one of these relay stations. The missions were high risk, but the potential payoff was too great to ignore. One such team, led by Lieutenant Kira Chun, approached a relay station hidden in the atmosphere of a gas giant. Their ship, cloaked and silent, slipped past the Coalition patrols. "Remember," Chun briefed her team, "we get in, we activate the relay, and we get out. No heroics, no unnecessary risks." As Chen's team began their delicate operation, new recruits were already flooding into hastily established training academies across human space. The first graduates, their bodies and minds enhanced with precursor tech, were rapidly integrated into frontline units. In orbit around Jupiter, a squad of these newly minted soldiers participated in a live-fire exercise, their movements a blur of superhuman speed and precision. Their commanding officer, watching from a nearby observation platform, couldn't help but feel a mix of awe and trepidation at the raw power on display. As these events unfolded, the galaxy watched and waited. The Human Interstellar Alliance had made its move, striking back against the anti-human coalition with a speed and ferocity that caught many off guard. But the Krenim and their allies were far from defeated, and the true test of humanity's persistence was yet to come. In the depths of space, Captain Freeman's ship raced back towards Earth, carrying vital intelligence that would shape the next phase of this escalating conflict. The pieces were in motion, the board set. The game for galactic supremacy had begun in earnest, and humanity was playing for keeps. The game for galactic supremacy had begun in earnest, and humanity was playing for keeps. As Captain Freeman's ship raced back to Earth with vital intelligence, General Marcus Steele wasted no time in mobilizing the Human Interstellar Alliance's resources. Operation Titan's Shield is now in effect, Steele announced to his assembled staff, his voice carrying the weight of command. We've struck the first blow, but now we must secure our position. Across human-controlled space, a flurry of activity erupted as Steele's orders were relayed. In the central precursor hub, Major John Hawkins and his Pathfinder's team worked tirelessly to bring the ancient defense system online. Activating Sector 7, Hawkins called out, his fingers dancing across the alien interface. A low hum filled the air as energy coursed through long dormant conduits. Suddenly, the view screen lit up with a dazzling display. Shimmering walls of light sprang into existence, encircling key human systems. Hawkins watched in awe as automated defense platforms materialized along the barriers, their weapons primed and ready. "My God," he breathed, "we've just changed the rules of engagement." In the Kuiper Belt shipyards, Commander Elena Rodriguez oversaw the final stages of the new fleet's construction. The sleek lines of the advanced warships gleamed under the harsh lights of the assembly bays. "Status report," Rodriguez barked as she strode across the deck of the newly christened flagship, Humanity's Purpose. Her XO fell into step beside her. "All systems are green, Commander. We're ready for the shakedown cruise." Rodriguez nodded, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Prepare for simulated combat scenarios. I want to push these ships to their limits." As the fleet powered up its precursor-derived engines, leaving trails of blue fire in their wake, activity on Mars reached a fever pitch. Governor Alexander Roth stood at the edge of a vast expanse of newly planted forest, the red Martian soil now teeming with Earth vegetation. "It's beautiful," Dr. Samantha Reeves said, her voice filled with wonder. Roth nodded, his gaze fixed on the horizon where massive biodomes were under construction. "And it's just the beginning. Authorize the next phase of terraforming. We need to accelerate our timetable." Meanwhile, deep in Krenim territory, Captain Sarah Freeman and her team of operatives moved like shadows through enemy installations. Their holographic disguises held up under scrutiny as they gathered crucial intelligence on fleet movements and weapon capabilities. Freeman's voice was barely a whisper as she spoke into her quantum-entangled communicator. "Package secured. Transmitting data now." Back on Earth, the AI Nexus processed the incoming flood of information. Its holographic avatar appeared before General Steele, its expression unreadable. "Hi, Commander. I've identified a pattern in the Coalition's attack strategies," the AI reported. "I predict with 97.3% certainty that their next major offensive will target the Proxima Centauri colony." Steele's eyes narrowed. "Excellent work. Prepare a briefing for our fleet commanders. We'll be ready for them this time." As the Alliance prepared for the coming storm, scientists on Titan made a breakthrough that would change the course of the conflict. Dr. Eliza Chun burst into the control room, her eyes wide with excitement. "We've done it," she announced breathlessly. "The precursor energy cannon is operational." The massive weapon, dubbed Titan's Fist, was quickly integrated into the lunar defense grid. Its imposing barrel, visible even from Earth's surface, served as a potent reminder of humanity's growing technological prowess. In the diplomatic arena, Ambassador Michael Freeman worked tirelessly to strengthen the alliance's position. He stood before a gathering of alien dignitaries, his voice clear and persuasive. By joining forces, we can ensure a future of peace and prosperity for all our species, Freeman argued. Let us stand together against those who would threaten that future. One by one, previously neutral species signed mutual defense pacts with the Human Interstellar Alliance. As the ink dried on the treaties, joint military exercises began, forging the disparate forces into a cohesive fighting unit. In the skies above Earth, a squadron of unmanned combat drones performed intricate maneuvers, their movements too precise and coordinated to be the work of conventional pilots. Inside a heavily shielded facility, the Neuralink core focused intently on their mental commands, their minds seamlessly interfaced with their machines. As these preparations reached their zenith, long-range sensors lit up with alarming news. A massive buildup of coalition and Krenim forces was detected near the edge of human-controlled space. General Steele's voice rang out across all Alliance communication channels. This is not a drill. All forces to battle stations. Civilian evacuation protocols are now in effect. Across Earth, Mars, and key colony worlds, millions of civilians streamed into massive underground shelters. The logistics corps worked with clockwork precision, ensuring the smooth operation of these facilities. Commander Rodriguez's voice was steady as she addressed her fleet. The enemy is advancing towards our newly established energy barriers. All ships take up defensive positions. This is the moment we prepared for. As the vast coalition armada approached, tension mounted throughout human-controlled space. The shimmering energy barriers stood as a testament to humanity's resilience and ingenuity. Behind them, the Alliance's forces readied themselves for the fight of their lives. The first shots of the battle were moments away from being fired. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, with the outcome of this monumental clash poised to reshape the galactic landscape. As both sides marshaled their forces and deployed their most advanced technologies, the true test of the Human Interstellar Alliance's strength and unity was about to begin. The massive coalition and Krenim fleet loomed on the edge of human-controlled space, a dark tide threatening to overwhelm the newly established energy barriers. General Marcus Steele's voice crackled over the command channels, steady and resolute. Initiate final stages of Operation Titan Shield. All units, prepare for imminent contact. Commander Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of humanity's commitment, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. The fleet under her command moved with practiced precision, forming a multi-layered defense grid along the barrier's edge. Deploy quantum mines, Rodriguez ordered, her voice calm despite the tension in the air. Random pattern, full spread. Outside the viewports, space itself seemed to ripple as the mines materialized, creating an invisible web of destruction for the approaching enemy forces. Rodriguez watched as her fleet took up defensive positions, each ship a gleaming testament to human ingenuity and willpower. On the lunar surface, the massive barrel of the Titan's fist energy cannon glowed with an otherworldly light. Technicians worked feverishly, making final adjustments to the colossal weapon. Similar installations on Mars and key colony worlds hummed to life, forming a network of long-range artillery capable of striking across vast distances of space. In the central hub of the ancient precursor defense system, Major John Hawkins and his Pathfinders team worked with practiced efficiency. Their fingers danced across alien interfaces, fine-tuning the energy barriers to allow passage of Alliance ships while maintaining their integrity against enemy forces. Sector 3 calibrated. One of the Pathfinders called out, "Creating localized fluctuation now." Hawkins nodded, his eyes never leaving his own console. "Good work. Keep it up. We need to give our ships maximum maneuverability without compromising the barrier's strength." Deep within Krenim territory, Captain Sarah Freeman's team of operatives moved with silent purpose. As they infiltrated a high-security communications center, Freeman's eyes widened at the information scrolling across the alien displays. "This is it," she whispered, quickly transmitting the data through her quantum-entangled communicator. "General Steele, we've located the Coalition's command ship. Sending coordinates now." Back on Earth, the AI Nexus processed the incoming flood of data, its holographic avatar materializing before General Steele. "Hi, Commander. I've analyzed Captain Freeman's intel. The enemy command ship is heavily shielded but vulnerable to a coordinated strike on these specific points." The AI highlighted several areas on a 3D model of the massive vessel. Steele nodded, his mind already formulating a plan. "Excellent work. Relay this information to Commander Rodriguez. We'll need to create an opening for a strike team." On Mars, Governor Alexander Roth stood in the planet's Central Defense Command, overseeing the final preparations. "Activate planetary shields," he ordered, his voice echoing through the cavernous room. Outside, massive energy shields shimmered into existence over major Martian cities. Automated defense platforms rose from hidden bunkers across the planet's surface, their weapons primed and ready. In a heavily fortified facility on Titan, the Neuralink core sat in rows of interface pods, their minds merging with the controls of thousands of unmanned combat drones. As one, the sleek fighters emerged from concealed hangars across the solar system, forming a vast swarm of remotely controlled craft. Ambassador Michael Freeman worked tirelessly in a secure command center on Earth, coordinating with the Alliance's new alien allies. Holographic displays showed fleets from multiple species converging on predetermined rendezvous points, bolstering the human defensive lines. "We need to ensure smooth communication between all allied forces," Freeman instructed his team. "Work on real-time translation and tactical data sharing. We can't afford any misunderstandings in the heat of battle." As the enemy fleet reached the outer perimeter of human-controlled space, the first layer of defenses sprang to life. Automated precursor platforms unleashed salvos of energy weapons, tearing through the vanguard of the Coalition forces. The massive energy barriers flared brightly as the first enemy ships attempted to breach them, disintegrating several vessels on contact. Commander Rodriguez's voice rang out across the Alliance fleet. "All ships, engage. Fire at will." Space itself seemed to ignite as the two forces clashed. Precursor-derived energy beams and newly developed quantum torpedoes streaked across the void, punching holes in the enemy formation. The quantum mines activated, creating localized spatial distortions that trapped and destroyed numerous Coalition ships. On the lunar surface, the Titan's Fist cannon fired its first shot. A blinding beam of energy cut through space, obliterating an entire squadron of enemy capital ships. The recoil from the massive weapon sent visible tremors across the lunar landscape, a testament to its immense power. As the battle intensified, a portion of the enemy fleet broke through the outer defenses, approaching Earth. General Steele's voice crackled over the command channels once more. "Activate Earth's orbital defense network. Now!" A web of interlocking energy fields sprang to life around the planet, forming a nearly impenetrable shield. The enemy ships that made it through found themselves trapped between this new barrier and the advancing Alliance forces. The first wave of the enemy's main assault crashed against the human defenses, marking the beginning of the largest space battle in known galactic history. Energy weapons flared and explosions bloomed silently in the void as the two massive fleets engaged in a dance of destruction. Commander Rodriguez stood on the bridge of humanity's willpower, her eyes scanning the tactical displays as she coordinated the Alliance's counterattack. "Focus fire on Sector 7, she ordered. "We need to create an opening for our strike team to reach the enemy command ship." As the battle raged on, the fate of humanity and the balance of power in the galaxy hung in the balance. The human interstellar alliance faced its greatest test, with the outcome of this monumental clash set to determine the course of galactic events for generations to come. As the battle raged on, Commander Elena Rodriguez's eyes narrowed, scanning the tactical displays with laser-like focus. Amid the chaos of explosions and energy beams crisscrossing space, she spotted a critical weakness in the enemy formation. "There," she said, pointing to a small gap in the coalition's defenses. "That's our opening. Prepare for a precision strike." Rodriguez opened a secure channel to her strike force. "All ships, form up on me. We're going in hot." The sleek warships of Rodriguez's team fell into formation behind humanity's tenacity. With practiced precision, they maneuvered through a carefully calculated opening in the energy barriers, their advanced stealth systems masking their approach. As they penetrated deep into enemy territory, swarms of Neuralink-controlled drones flanked the strike force. The human pilots, their minds merged with their machines, executed maneuvers too complex for conventional control systems. Coalition ships, caught off guard by the sudden appearance of Alliance forces in their midst, scrambled to respond. Rodriguez's strike team carved a path of destruction through the enemy fleet, their advanced weapon systems overwhelming the opposition. "Target their command ship," Rodriguez ordered, her voice steady despite the intensity of the battle around them. "All weapons, concentrate fire on their primary shield generators." As they closed in on their target, Rodriguez's comm system crackled to life. Captain Sarah Freeman's face appeared on the screen, her expression taut with urgency. "Commander, we've identified critical vulnerabilities in the command ship's defenses," Freeman reported. "Transmitting data now." Rodriguez's tactical officer quickly integrated the new information into their attack plan. "Commander, we have a clear shot at their main reactor," he announced. "Take it," Rodriguez commanded. The strike force unleashed a devastating barrage, their weapons guided by the intelligence provided by Freeman's operatives. The coalition command ship's shields flickered and failed under the precision assault. Meanwhile, in the central hub of the Precursor Defense System, Major John Hawkins and his Pathfinders team made a startling discovery. As they worked to optimize the energy barriers, Hawkins noticed an anomaly in the system's code. "Wait a second," he muttered, his fingers flying across the alien interface. "This isn't just a defense protocol. It's something else." After a few moments of intense concentration, Hawkins' eyes widened. "General Steele," he called over the comm, "we've found something big. The precursors left behind a dormant protocol that can create a massive subspace distortion. If we can activate it, it could turn the tide of the battle." On Earth, General Steele received Hawkins' report with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. He turned to the holographic avatar of the AI Nexus, which was already processing the new information. "What do you make of this?" Steele asked. The AI's response was immediate. "I've analyzed the Precursor protocol and formulated a plan. If we combine the subspace distortion with a precisely timed blast from the Titan's fist energy cannon, we can create a localized spatial rift. This rift could potentially engulf a significant portion of the enemy fleet." Steele's brow furrowed. "What are the risks?" "The effects of such a massive distortion are largely unknown," the AI admitted. "There is a possibility of unintended consequences." Steele weighed the options, acutely aware of the mounting casualties on both sides. After a moment of contemplation, he made his decision. "Do it," he ordered. "Relay the plan to all relevant units." As Rodriguez's strike force engaged the coalition's command ship, the massive Titan's fist cannon on the lunar surface hummed to life. Technicians worked feverishly, adjusting the weapon's output to match the AI's precise calculations. "Pathfinders, initiate the Precursor protocol," Steele commanded. "Titan's fist, prepare to fire on my mark." In the heart of the battle, Rodriguez's team unleashed a final, devastating assault on the enemy command ship. At the same moment, the Titan's fist fired, its colossal energy beam lancing across space. The beam intersected with the subspace distortion created by the activated precursor protocol. For a split second, all seemed still. Then, with a blinding flash that illuminated the entire battlefield, a massive spatial rift tore open in the heart of the enemy fleet. The swirling vortex pulled in hundreds of ships, including the Coalition's command vessel. Caught completely off guard, the enemy forces fell into disarray, their command structure crumbling in an instant. Rodriguez seized the opportunity. All ships, press the attack. Don't let up. The human Interstellar Alliance forces surged forward, their coordinated assault overwhelming the fragmented enemy fleet. Neuralink pilots demonstrated unparalleled precision, systematically eliminating key targets. As the battle reached its climax, the remaining Coalition and Krenim ships began to retreat. Their once mighty armada, now reduced to a fraction of its former strength, fled from human-controlled space. The energy barriers flared one last time as the enemy stragglers passed through, their will to fight thoroughly broken. In the silence that followed, the enormity of their victory began to sink in. Commander Rodriguez stood on the bridge of humanity's dedication, her posture finally relaxing as she surveyed the aftermath of the battle. The vast emptiness of space was now littered with the remnants of destroyed ships and the fading glow of weapons fire. "Status report," she called out, her voice hoarse from hours of issuing commands. Her tactical officer responded, his tone a mixture of exhaustion and disbelief. "Enemy forces are in full retreat, Commander. We've won." As the reality of their victory settled in, Rodriguez opened a channel to General Steele. "Sir, the enemy fleet has been routed. Human-controlled space is secure." Steele's voice came through, filled with pride and relief. "Excellent work, Commander. Prepare your forces for..."
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. And for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.